Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
Zen Master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojotalkpodcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 132. As always, you can check this podcast out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. If you are on social media, follow us on the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page as well as the Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. And you can follow me on Twitter as well as Twitch @Serial Sensei. And returning back to the dojo after a nice trip to Florida, doing fun things while me and Joey had to talk about Alexei Oleinik and Overeem. We somehow made that a 3-hour podcast. But returning back to the dojo, my co-host, the Anticool, what's going on, man?
What's good? Like, I was in Florida, and you guys got to talk about vampires, so I don't think, I don't think our experiences were that different, if we're being honest.
You were with Florida people. They're
I was with Florida tourist people.
It's a different breed. Different breed down there.
They're like, Florida tourist people are basically like Avengers movie bathroom people. Like, because like I went to the theater, what was it, Friday, to go see Captain Marvel a month late because I figured nobody would be there because I'd rather go see Endgame, and I went to use the bathroom, and it was the worst experience of my life. I don't know how you people live like this. It's disturbing.
Hey, I'm about to say to them, this is normal, everyday. I don't know. Florida is a different, just like, it's like they don't even abide by the same rules as the rest of the world. Like, they're their own little territory.
The laws of physics don't apply in Florida.
Nothing does. We got teachers with guns in Florida now. That's gonna be a thing.
Can't wait till a teacher gets mad and just shoots one of the kids in the face.
Yeah. Yikes. But how was your tell listeners, man, how was the Florida experience, or the Disney experience?
The Walt Disney's Manufactured Happiness Factory was very nice. Now I'm struggling to remember what I did, because like, we're not ride people in my family. Some of us have motion sickness. Some of us are just cowards. I won't tell you which one I am. So we went on a lot of like the dark rides, like Haunted Mansion, the river ride for the I keep wanting to call it freaking not what it is, but Avatar in Pandora. I keep forgetting that's the freaking name of it, and I just want to call it like Blue Pocahontas.
Same difference.
It's the same movie, except if Adam Smith was the main character. Wait, his name was John Smith. Whatever. Point being, it was really nice. Epcot was cool. Animal Kingdom was dope, but if I'm a Native American, I'm kind of offended they put my like analogous like race of people in Animal Kingdom. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's what the Navi are supposed to represent, and they're just in Animal Kingdom.
Jeez.
I'm also really upset because so if you've never been to Pandora before, the people there are not allowed to talk about Pandora like it's not real, like it was a movie. Because in Disney World, in Pandora, everything in the movie happened. It was a documentary. And the staff have to treat it as such. So if you ask the staff about the movie, their trained responses would be like, "Oh, you mean our documentary?" Which is,
I could not keep that up for like a full.
oh, are you kidding me? I wish
No.
that was my job.
I don't think after about the first hour, like, listen, man.
Dude, are you like just if I get to sit there and play Carney and just bullshit people for like 6 hours a day, I'd have so much fun. I just go, but like, so we didn't go to a whole bunch of shops while we were there, but the one I wanted to go to was so they have like a memorial hall, or I don't know if it's like part of a shop or it's just like a tourist center where they have a bunch of dudes in suits and like a Navi got like in a picture. It's like photoshopped, obviously. But, like they photoshop a Navi and like these dudes in suits like breaking ground on what would be eventually Disney's Pandora, and it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. It's basically like if they photoshopped like a Native American dude with a bunch of white dudes in suits, and like they were breaking ground on like an Indian casino or something. It's amazing, and I'm mad I didn't get to see it. I'm also really mad that I can get one of those $80 dolls where they take a picture of your face and they say they're going to craft it to the doll, but they just use a pre-modeled doll head. And they all look exactly the same.
Did you get any memorabilia?
I got a pin and a T-shirt, and that's all I could take because I didn't bring a suitcase because United wanted to charge me $30 for one. I was like, I have a backpack.
There you go. Oh man. Well, I mean, at least you got out there, enjoyed I'm pretty sure it was good weather. Well, it might have been hot because
it was warm, but like it got down to like 50 something. Like I was actually really surprised. I was like, oh, I might actually need to wear my jacket, or not jacket, but my like over sweater or whatever.
Not too bad. Not too bad though.
No, it was nice. Yeah. Don't bring your 3-month-old to Disney. Like, what's wrong with you? Stop.
Yeah, they're not gonna remember any of that.
They're not gonna remember, and they're going to be miserable, and they're probably gonna catch something because it's Florida. You're outside, and there's like a million kids.
I'll probably get flack for this, and then we'll move on. But related to that same topic, I never understand why parents give like the 1-year-old like a huge birthday party. You do know he's not gonna remember.
I've been told it's for the parent, so they feel like they did a good job.
You have your own birthday.
No, it's not. It's not about that. It's about making yourself feel good as a parent.
You get out of here.
So you can look back on that first birthday and be like, "Wow,
I did that.
I did that for my kid." And now you're 25. Now they're 25 years old, and you're bailing them out of jail because they got another
right.
Because you couldn't teach them self-restraint.
All right. Yeah.
Bad parenting.
Yeah. Stop giving the 1-year-old the birthday party. He has no idea what's going on.
Don't even acknowledge that he was born.
Oh man, I always thought that was weird, but no, I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Quick unrelated note before we move on. So you mentioned Captain Marvel, so you haven't seen Endgame yet.
No, I'm going to see it later today, and I was supposed to stay up all last night because I'm not going to see Captain Marvel, Endgame until 11:20 today.
11:20 at night?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I have to work tomorrow, so
you're not gonna get home until like 2:30.
Isn't the movie like 3 hours long?
Yes, it is 3 hours long.
Oh yeah, then the movie's not gonna start until 12, and then I'm not gonna get home till 3 or 4.
You are gonna be.
So my plan is after the podcast is done, I'm going to do like 2-3 hours of homework,
and just go to sleep,
and then just sleep 8 hours, and then pray that's enough to carry me through not only Avengers but through work because I have to work tomorrow from 9 to 5.
Jesus, I hope you don't fall asleep. I'm not gonna spoil the movie at all. I'm not that kind of person. I've seen. We're recording this on Sunday morning. I've already seen Endgame twice. It is really, 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 really good. I hope you don't fall asleep.
We saw Captain Marvel at like, what was it? We started at like 10, so it didn't start till really 10:30. So I think it'd be fine. Like once a movie has my attention, like bad or good, I tend to stick to it the whole way.
Y'all are troopers. I'm all about the early movie.
Oh, believe me, I tried, man. Like everything around here is sold out. Like
yeah.
The price of living in suburbia, freaking everybody has a car and everybody wants to see the same movie the weekend it comes out, and all the malls are packed.
See, I'm lucky. I go to the trash movies. Well, all right, it's not completely trash, but I go to the movie theater that like nobody really, frequents. The one that doesn't have reclining chairs yet. I don't have to struggle too hard.
I can't do that no more, man. I've been spoiled.
They got you.
These high end theaters, man. I can't even say that because the theater over in Richfield Park, it used to be like the cheapo theater, but it had lounge seating. While Garden State, which cost back then at least, it cost like double the ticket price to see the same damn movie with like 50,000 other people. It only has the standard theater seats. So I was just like, damn. And nobody used to go to Richfield Park, man. I used to love going there because you'd go and see like the hot new movie, and there'd be like 2 people in the theater with you, at most.
Yeah, I mean, I did have a packed crowd both times I went, only because it was Avengers. Any other movie, I can just kind of go in, and it's kind of just me and whoever I'm with. That's pretty much it. I mean, but yeah, you guys.
That's the best movie.
It is.
That's how I saw. Was it Next Day Air?
You just go sit anywhere.
It was literally just me, my 2 brothers, and my dad, and I spent half the movie just throwing shit at the screen.
I was gonna say to bring this back to fighting, because me and my friend, that Bellator card that was Fader and Bader. I said Bader and Bader. That card we saw in a movie theater, and it was literally just us 2, and it was the funnest experience I've ever had watching fight. Guys, if you ever get a chance to watch any fight in a movie theater, just go do it. Just have that experience. Bring a friend with you, and it's fun. It's great.
It's a Bellator card because you'll be the only ones there, and you can have all the fun.
Right. Oh man, but yeah, that was cool. And last note before we really get started, from a video game people, played Days Gone. Yeah. I'll tell you guys, if it's not a terrible game, but I would say, if you catch it on sale, maybe for about $40, maybe pick it up then. Don't know about full price though. Not Played it for about an hour or so yesterday, and I got bored really quick. Mortal Kombat 11 is awesome though, so go buy that. That's great. But
go in
Days, right? But Days Gone, it ain't for me. Not for me. But
if you like resource management games, Days Gone is your jam.
Yeah, go have fun. You can use a machete though. That might be.
It's basically Minecraft.
I didn't even get that far to even really.
I'm just going off of what other people say. I have no idea. Like the first time I saw the thing, I was just not interested. But I remember that E3 because as soon as that trailer went off, they cut to the crowd, and there were just these 2 guys in the crowd, like just hailing, like just bowing and pray. Like they were so excited for this game that was just released where it was just announced, I should say. I was just like, you have to be a plant, or you have to be really just like sad.
The best description I've heard of it, to paraphrase, it's a diet version of The Last of Us.
Damn.
And
it's like The Last of Us without the story, I guess.
Yeah, without the story and the emotions and the feel, and yeah, that's pretty much what that was. But
I have one thing. So I'm fine with zombies not being like the slow moving like George Romero zombies, but I feel like your zombies shouldn't have like superhuman powers where they're able to like climb up walls and shit. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't played the game, but like I saw the trailer, the like one bullet left trailer. What do you do? And like you see like the zombies like hopping on top of cars and shit, and I'm just like, dude, that's the zombie of like a soccer mom. She ain't doing that shit in real life. Like your zombie should not be capable of doing more than you were able to do in real life. You feel me?
I never even thought of it like that, but that is true. We're way too lazy to do any of that.
Like if I was a zombie, I ain't jumping on no freaking car.
Yeah.
Standing.
At most, you might get a light jog out of me.
Exactly.
And I'm probably gonna quit like halfway through. Like, all right, man, you got it. Just
like,
you leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, like these zombies are like they are hopping onto motorcycles, like that moving motorcycle, and like catching up with them at full speed. I'm like, dude, this. What is like? Does it just unlock the rest of your brain?
No, you get the rest of your hidden potential.
Exactly.
Before him. Oh man, yeah, I don't know.
I want a
that was a
game
long intro spiel.
That's all I want.
With who?
Faithful zombies. I want Grandpa Zombie, who is like 90 years old, and he wants to eat you, but like he can't because he broke his hip.
He's the zombie with dentures. He's like chasing you on a walker. He still yells at them. Oh man, but that was our random intro spiel. Real quick before we get started, as always, appreciate the listeners, man. Always repost, share wherever you're at, Twitter, Tumblr. Helps us greatly when you share. Tell a friend. Top listeners of the week, as far as cities: number 1, Everett, Washington. Number 2, San Francisco, California. Number 3, Houston, Texas. Number 4, Indiana. And at number 5, randomly, Dahod, India. Or Dahod, India. Not sure how you say that. But appreciate you guys, man. Keep sharing. All that good stuff. Helps us grow. Help us out. Text it to a random person. Share it with a random person. If you're in the airport and somebody's sitting there and they don't, they're bored waiting for the flight. It's like, hey, listen to this. And, hopefully they actually listen.
And then they'll be like, who the fuck is Alexei Oleinik?
Hey, like we said, man, conversation starter.
Exactly.
Tell them Alexei Oleinik, the 40-year-old old man who's,
You're at a bar, you see a cute girl, you open the conversation with, do you listen to the Dojo Talk podcast?
All right. She was like, what's that? And then you just slide in. We're going to get so many people rejected and slapped.
I mean,
but it's all about
it's all about the story. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about the experience.
Exactly.
You can't look at this. You're doing something bigger than yourself. Just think of it like that. But as far as fights go, there were actually a ton of fights this weekend. There were actually a lot of good. This was a good weekend of just combat sports in general. We had Bellator, UFC had a card, LFA had a card, Titan FC had a card. There was some boxing going on. A lot of fisticuffs were being thrown this weekend. So we'll be covering Bellator, the UFC. I'm gonna make quick mentions of Titan FC and LFA because those cards had some moments and I kind of want to highlight them. But of course, as always, we will start off with the fight news and announcements of the week. Not a ton in terms of substance, but a couple cool fights, a couple of storylines, some good, some not so good. But I'll just run through this list real quick. So as far as fight news and announcements, at UFC 239, Sean O'Malley will be returning. He will be fighting Marlon Chito Vera. That should be a really fun, awesome fight. At UFC Minneapolis, we'll be having Damian Maia versus Anthony Rocco Martin. At UFC South Carolina, we will have Kevin Holland versus Alessio Di Chirico. At UFC 237, we'll have Priscilla Cochera against Luana Carolina. Also at UFC Minneapolis, we will have Alonzo Menifield versus Paul Craig. UFC Sacramento has a duo of fight announcements with Marvin Vettori versus Cesar Ferreira, and also Benil Dariush versus Drakkar Close. That should be a really fun fight. UFC Rochester, Des Green will be making a quick turnaround. He'll be fighting Charles Jourdain. At UFC Stockholm, we'll have Devin Clark versus Darko Stoich. I can never say that name right. And at UFC 238, a name who I was randomly just thinking of the other day because I didn't even know if he still fought anymore. But Eddie Wanman will be back fighting Grigory Popov at UFC 238. So that's pretty much all I have for fight matchups, at least for the UFC. And other UFC news headlines, we got some suspensions going around. Paulo Costa was suspended for 6 months. Apparently, it was like some kind of IV use that he did. That story was just kind of funny because him and there were a lot of doping accusations against him. Him and the Romero fight just brought out a lot of trash talk, and then this headline comes out, and it's like, like, I don't know. It made that they just add so much extra to that fight, which we're probably never still gonna get because for whatever reason the MMA guys don't want it to happen. But that was the thing that happened. Walt Harris suspended 4 months from USADA for failing I think it was his post UFC 232 drug test. In terms of signees, the UFC has signed Romanian women's flyweight Diana Belbita and Italian lightweight Danilo Belluardo. And on a sadder note, former UFC fighter Rodrigo Goana de Lima was killed in a hit and run incident in Brazil. I think he had got in like an argument with like an Uber driver or something. Yeah. I don't know if it was Uber, something like that.
It was Uber driver.
Yeah, and the guy I think he left and then he came back and hit him and just kept going. Yeah. I don't even know if they caught the guy yet.
I mean, he's an Uber driver. He could be just on the run, I guess.
I haven't read up on it since that story broke, but that was a messed up headline. Like a hit and run is those are wild. Way back in the day. I didn't say way back in the day. I actually had a coworker who got was murdered by a hit and run. And those are just kind of wild because it's like you can't really do anything. Like it's you against a car. Like there's no way out. And I'd imagine he probably wasn't even like expecting it. I mean, I think they did have some kind of altercation, but the guy left, and then I guess you would think he leaves. Like, all right, whatever. I'm probably not ever going to see him again. And then he comes back, and this happened. So, but really unfortunate, man. Rest in peace to Rodrigo de Lima. That's really just an unfortunate story. And then the last bit of news I have, and one championship, Gary Tonin will be fighting a gentleman named Yoshiki Nakahara. When I saw the name of this card, I was like, they didn't have a card named this already? But this will be one championship, Enter the Dragon. Basically. I was like, I saw that name. I was like, there's no way you guys haven't used that name already. There's definitely had to have been a card named Enter the Dragon. And then the last news I have, everybody's favorite light heavyweight, Tito Ortiz. He's back. Really, he never left, but he got signed to Combate Americas. So that's going to be a thing. Tito's here.
Shout out to Joey who called the fight they're probably going to make, which is Tito Ortiz versus Alberto Del Rio.
Tito just doesn't go away, man.
I mean, I was getting paid $500,000 to show up. I'd still be fine too.
Yeah, that is true. And to be honest, like within his last couple of fights, I don't feel like he hasn't taken like a ton of damage, really.
I mean, what was Chuck going to really do to him?
I try to forget that.
And then like this Chael Sonnen who hasn't hurt anybody since basically the first Silva fight. And who who else was there? Like the Shlemenko fight. Like Shlemenko's a welterweight, if we're being honest, who just happens to fight at 185 because he never learned how to weight cut. And Tito is basically a heavyweight, so that was
gross size mismatch.
yeah. So yeah, no, Tito still out here, still plenty big enough, strong enough, and good enough at wrestling to get wins.
44 years old, still out here. Just he's still out here. Tito Ortiz in 2019 is still a thing, but not really. I don't know why I feel like I'm missing a news note. Maybe it just hasn't been a busy news week. For some reason, I feel like I'm missing something.
No one got arrested, so it just feels weird.
Yeah.
I'm very upset I missed last week, by the way. I missed all the fun shit. Just machetes, freaking. You know what's really like? Shouts to Monte. I don't know how to pronounce your name, man. Sorry. Who retweeted a video of a fight that happened here in Jersey between like I don't even know who the hell was on each side, but this dude, like this one dude, just showed up with a machete. He swung, got like the other dude was charging like a bull. He ducks under, picks him up, and just slams him on his fucking head. Like it was nothing.
So the guy with the machete lost.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then his boy who had a baseball bat came up and tried to hit him. The dude double forearm blocks it and proceeds to beat the crap out of him and knocks him out along by the car.
So both of y'all had weapons and both of y'all lost.
Yeah, and then this homeboy who had like brass knuckles on him for whatever reason just came up and snuck the dude behind and just hit him. It was just like this one dude got power bombed, like straight up like I'm going to pick you up and over my head and then throw you on the cement ground. Like shit is wild. I'm really upset I missed last week because it was like, oh, machetes twice in 1 week.
If you ever have a machete and you still lose the fight, you can never get in a physical altercation again. Like it's not for you.
I mean, apparently it's just not. Yeah, apparently it's just not good for your health because you can't freaking win.
Like the machete that's the cheat code. Like one swing with that and the fight's pretty much over. Did he swing like down? Like how did he miss?
Like dude just went underneath.
But like did he swing like horizontal? Did he swing like down? I'm trying to figure out like how did you miss a machete swing?
I'm gonna find it for you. We can continue with the other news while I find it.
God, he was on his Rurouni Kenshin. He had the reverse blade machete. he wasn't. I don't get it. I do not understand how one misses a full blown machete swing. I don't get it. But the circle back to the fight announcements real quick. Sean O'Malley and Chito Vera. How long is O'Malley? O'Malley hasn't been gone for that long. It feels like it's been a while, but maybe it hasn't. I don't know. But tough fight to come back to. But as we say on this podcast many times, and a lot of these lighter weight classes, there aren't really any, easy fights, so to say. You're only going to get but so many quote unquote tune-ups. So, and somebody had asked on Twitter. I can never remember people who. Well, they didn't ask me the question directly, but I saw somebody post about what they thought O'Malley's ceiling was. In terms of, think he'll be like a contender or a champion or, kind of where does he fall? And for me, I think dude is really talented, but I feel like I haven't seen enough to really be able to say what I think his ceiling will be. But I think this fight will tell me something. I think this will be a decent marker as to where he is now and I guess like where he can go, because Chito is definitely that's not going to be an easy out for him. So if he can manage to come out of that fight, get a win, or even more impressively get a stoppage, That would be kind of wild.
Yeah. Nah. Like O'Malley, he really does seem like, what was his last fight? Was it the Tyrion Ware fight that I'm thinking of?
I think so.
Yeah, like I don't want to compare them too much because they're different, but like I kind of think Corey Sandhagen's in front of him. Like, well, obviously he is now because he just beat Lineker, but like I just like his game just a little bit more. Like O'Malley definitely has like tools and stuff, but like you said, Cheeto is not an easy opponent. Especially now as of late, like he seems to have just figured everything out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so for listeners, I'm watching this footage of this fight.
Dude is just the bull in a china shop house.
He almost took. Dude. Oh my God. Not only did the guy with the bat lose, he got the bat taken from him.
Yeah. He got the swing and everything. He still got the snatch from him.
All right, so here's the context of this fight. Albeit the guy is, I feel like he's a lot bigger than everybody he's fighting, but it's still no excuse.
I mean, the guy who had the bat is about the same size.
Yeah, and he literally strong armed the bat out of his hand.
My favorite part is the guy who literally, like, after he gets like slumped, he stands up and runs away.
Oh my God!
That's just they're like that's just
He slammed him like this was like the same slam that Perry hit hit Cowboy with. Like, he just picked him. Oh my God! I normally don't. I try not to watch videos like these, but this is actually fascinating.
Man, we need to get that dude like a contract.
Yeah, this guy needs to go into a gym because for one, that slam was perfect. For two, he obviously has great strength because he just literally manhandled a bat out of somebody's hand. I think that dude, after he swung the bat, realized he messed up.
Yeah, well, he should have just let go of the bat because he kept holding on. Like, I need this. He should have just started swinging.
This fight was a 3-on-1 for a good. He didn't really need his friends to help him.
He really did not. He went in there and cleaned house.
He was handling all these dudes.
Dude walked in like he was Steve Austin during the invasion and just whipped everybody's ass.
Oh my God. Yeah, listen, people. We always say anytime punches or kicks are being thrown, we'll be there to talk about it. It don't matter what sport it is. This ain't even a sport. This is real life.
This is real life. Them machetes and baseball bats and like brass knuckles and shit.
Right. Jesus.
All that was missing was a grenade and a Brazilian flag, and
right.
We had Cowboys' whole Christmas all wrapped up.
Yeah, that was crazy. But I forgot. We say something about O'Malley and Cheeto.
It's gonna be a tough fight for O'Malley. Like I think he has the athletic edge. I don't know. Like I haven't sat down and really examined what makes O'Malley work. Like it's been a minute since I've seen them last fought, so.
And Cheeto's been pretty active.
Yeah, and Cheeto's been out here, like you said, like putting on really solid performances. I don't know. I'm probably leaning a little bit towards Vera, like just based on like consistency and like O'Malley's coming off that injury, and you know who knows what he's like after the drug test. This is
a fight that I could imagine O'Malley having like a good first round, and then eventually Cheeto might just find him.
Yeah, he gets figured out or something.
Yeah, I could see that fight going that way. But regardless, that's gonna be a fun one. That's gonna be a really fun fight.
I do think O'Malley has advantages in like three round fights over people just because he gets off to such a fast start. Like he is out the gate just confident in swinging and moving and dancing away, and for someone who's a little bit more methodical with his approach, you end up dropping a round and you only have 2 rounds to work with. So that's where my hesitation comes in.
We'll see though. And that card in general, that UFC 239, from what I remember, that card is pretty some good violence going on that card. That might be.
Is that the one where we're gonna see a man who hasn't won? Oh no, okay, it's the John Jones Santos fight. All right, solid. I thought it was, for some reason it's the one they were targeting on DC Brock Lesnar. I was about to say the man who hasn't won a fight in 10 years.
This is kind of random, and I want to go off on a side tangent, but I have realized that I think the last like 3 pay-per-views that I've paid for were all John Jones fights.
You paid for Smith Jones, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You're one of those people who made it a success.
And like, I get it. Like, John is John. He's I can't vouch for the dude as like a person, but his fights fascinate me. Like, I can't even lie. Like, his fights for me are just I have to watch, and he's one of the few guys that, like, when he fights, I'm like, it's not that I don't want to incriminate myself on here, but let's just say I'm willing to pay the price because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want something to go wrong while I'm trying to watch it. I don't want any incidents like we had on this podcast when I was trying to watch. I forgot what fight that was.
Oh my god, yeah. And you just shut down your computer.
Yeah, I don't want any of those. I don't want any of those going on. So yeah, he's one of those guys that, and I feel like for some reason, like when he whenever the moment happened, if he ever loses, I want to make sure that I see this in real time. I don't want it to be where like I'm watching and my stream freezes, and like I want to experience this with everybody else. But yeah, I know John Jones lately. He's been the only guy who I go out of my way to. I would have paid for a Poirier. Oh, you know what? Let me shut up. I was about to out myself real quick, but no, that's it for news and notes. Let me be quiet before the feds come take me away. But, so yeah, guess we can get started with let's get started with some fights. Like I said, man, a lot of fisticuffs got thrown around this weekend. I want to start off with some of the smaller cards real quick, just to kind of get them out of the way, and then we'll move on to Bellator and obviously the UFC card. So real quick, quick shout outs to Titan FC 54. They had a card that went down on Friday, which luckily for me, I was able to watch because I took off on Saturday so I could see Endgame, so I could stay up late Friday night with all the rest of the cool kids. So I could just stay up and watch fights all night. So I watched some of Titan FC. Some of it I missed in real time because I eventually switched to LFA, and then I went back and watched the fights I missed the next morning. But just wanted to highlight this card because it did have some significance for anybody who didn't watch the event. A lot of UFC heads were in attendance at this event. Dana White was there. I think Amanda Nunes was there. A lot of the big names came out, and Dana White was scouting for fighters to come on the Contender Series. So some of the fighters that ended up getting called up, from what I read, I'm just going to mention 3 fights. These are pretty much the 3 main ones that I was interested in. We had Herbert Burns versus Luis Gomez. Herbert Burns won his fight, so we will be seeing him in the Contender Series. His fight was actually really dominant. He just kind of went in there real quick and got a rear naked choke and got Gomez out of there. So he will be eventually on the Contender Series, so just remember that name. You heard it here first. Also on the same card, we had Rafael Alves versus Felipe Douglas. I can't remember if this was for the lightweight title. Alves won via I don't remember these fights at all, but I watched them.
KO.
He won via TKO. Yeah. Was this the one?
Herbert Burns.
I'm trying to remember the actual KO. I can't remember. This was a good fight. I remember this fight being entertaining though. And then I think the next day I read that he got the call up to the Contender Series as well. And then kind of what ended up becoming the story of the night, the main event, which was for the featherweight title, Jason Suarez versus Ariston Franca. I wasn't really familiar with anyone on this card, but I just watched it because when I turned to it, it's like, oh, Dana White's in the crowd, he's scouting, so I just wanted to see like if anybody was really going to stand out or not. But the story that I've heard about Jason Suarez was that he's been a guy. He is currently undefeated. After that night, he went on. He's now 13-0. The story on him was apparently that he's pretty much been on the fringe of like being in a major organization, and that I think he may have actually turned down other organizations because he heard that the UFC was eventually going to, come look for him. And I guess he just kind of, I ain't gonna say it soon, but I guess he kind of wanted to wait out all those other opportunities to see if, the UFC was going to actually give him a shot. And a lot of people felt that he would get a shot had he won. I mean, if he would have put in a good performance. And he goes out here, he puts on a pretty good performance. I will say it wasn't as quote unquote exciting as the other two, but I tend to not put a lot of stock, not a lot of stock in it was an exciting fight, because just because your fight was exciting, it doesn't mean that you're, good. Not to say that Alves and Burns aren't good, but I like Suarez's fight because to me he showed that he was really well rounded. And he actually got put in a really bad spot in round, I can't remember if it was round 3 or 4, where he actually got rocked with a knee. And he came back and still, won the fight. Whereas a lot of guys, that could have been over. Like, you could have been dominating for all those rounds, get caught with the knee, and then we never hear from you again. And that's, to me, like kind of what I look for in prospects. Like, it's easy to look good when things are going good, but how do you look when, it's not in your favor, so to speak? But he goes out. He gets a pretty impressive win, at least I thought, but apparently he did not get the call. So I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. At this point, like I said, from the story that I heard, people are just kind of like they don't know what else that they think he really like needs to do, like to get a call to the UFC. So I don't know. Maybe Bellator can snatch him up. They could always use some new fresh faces at 45. No, hopefully he ends up somewhere, because he does look like he looks like a guy who I could see at bare minimum. I could see him at making Bellator's roster at least. Like, he could be somebody there who could, potentially go there and maybe do some things.
Like you said before, like Dana just likes scrappers. If you can go out there and bother a guy, or you could be like a Brandon Davis and just like put on a fun fight, that's really what he mainly looks for. Which is why with the Contender Series, it's mostly been like the good fighters who come out of that series. They're mostly like Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby guys who like, oh, we know who's hot on the regional scene, or we know who's like good and who trains where, and they have their eyes constantly on just out there looking for people, or at least at the very least to pay attention to what's happening. Like Dana, like for whatever it's worth, I he's probably not the best judge of talent. So like when he goes to like when he goes and does like was it Dana White's looking for a fight, dude? Like that's why so many of those dudes like just did not pan out the way people wanted them to. Like besides the accelerated matchmaking, it was just like Dana picks guys who he thinks are going to be fun. That's all he really cares about.
Right, yeah, but fun a lot of times doesn't really equal like longevity
or even good.
Yeah, and a lot of them are still like really green. Like to me, when I watch Suarez fight, albeit 13 of those have a pretty decent amount of experience, but just like looking the way that he like responded to the situations he was put in, to me that this seems like a guy like he's been here before. He kind of knows what this is. Like he was able to get out of that bad spot and still come back, and he pounded Franca's face in when he got that win. That was some nasty ground and pound. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to look for the total package when you're scouting these new guys, because like I said, it's easy to look good when everything's going your way, when you're not really meeting a ton of resistance. But some of those guys, they get hit in the mouth for the first time. Obviously not literally, but you guys get the point. Like they take that first hard hit, and they realize like, oh, I'm with the big boys now, and they kind of don't, they start looking real mediocre. So I don't know, but shout out to Jason Suarez. Still their 45-pound champ. Hopefully he finds himself in some bigger organization.
I'm sure Shelby and Maynard have him on their list of guys if somebody gets hurt and they need a quick fix replacement. And that's basically how everybody gets to UFC nowadays. So
yeah, I'm about to say half the guys who I feel like that's how the LFA thing goes now. Like you win a belt in the LFA, and they just need a quick replacement. And they're like, hey, you want to fight on 7 days notice?
right.
We'll have fun. And speaking of LFA, also want to highlight their card, LFA 64, which went down also on Friday night. I had to catch this because I've been missing LFA cards a lot recently because I have to wake up early Saturdays normally. But since I didn't have to work this Saturday, I went and watched this. As always with LFA, pretty good card. You're going to get a lot of action, normally a good, decent amount of finishes. I'm just going to headline or mention the main event, Harvey Park versus DeMarcus Jackson. This is a really fun fight, a fight in which it looked like, from what I know, and I could be wrong because I haven't really kept an eye on either of these gentlemen, but it seemed like Jackson had a lot of the hype coming into this fight. I've seen some of his other highlights, and he has been out here just kind of wrecking shop. Really athletic, really powerful 155er. And he took it to Harvey in that, well, I ain't gonna say that the fight only lasted one round, but for a good portion of the fight, he was kind of pushing it on Harvey, but Harvey just stayed calm, stayed composed, and when he got a chance to pick his shot, he picked it, and he got DeMarcus out of there. So he's their lightweight champ. I don't know about him getting UFC call. Like we said, a lot of these guys end up just getting called on short notice. But congrats to Harvey Park, though. That was an awesome finish. And you guys go back and watch LFA 64. LFA always puts on pretty good cards. And go back, if you have Fight Pass, go back and watch Titan FC 54. At least the 3 fights we mentioned: Herbert Burns versus Luis Gomez, Rafael Alvarez versus Felipe Douglas, and Jason Suarez versus Ariston Franca. Those were all really good, entertaining fights to watch. So that's pretty much it for Titan and LFA. Now to move on to the headliners of the evening, so to speak. Let's just start with some Bellator. Bellator 220 went down yesterday, competing with the UFC and playoff basketball, which is in full swing. My Spurs are gone though. We're out of here.
If Twitter and Tumblr were any type of indication, we might be the only people who watched Bellator 220 yesterday.
Probably. I was happy to see a lot of people on my timeline who, if they didn't watch the entire Bellator card, they did at least watch Bendo's fight, which made me happy. I'm glad I'm not like the only Bendo fan who's still out here, who still has hope for one last title run.
My favorite were the people who tweeted about the main event.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's let's get this started.
Oh,
Bellator 220 went down.
First, the card was good. Even the main event was fine, but the aftermath.
Yeah, like that. Listen, man, we poke fun at Bellator, and I think our reasons are valid. Like Bellator is it's one of those organizations that there are only things that just seem to happen in Bellator. Like they just have their own. It's like they don't like we said with Florida. Like they're like the Florida of MMA. They just kind of operate on their own little. They're in their own little world, and things just don't seem to
add up, make any sense.
Right. It's just this random occurrences of things that should not happen, but somehow if Bellator will find a way to make the abnormal normal. That's just what they do. So the fight, the card was headlined by Rory Macdonald and John Fitch. This is a part of the Bellator welterweight tournament that's been going on for like the past year or so. I forgot when it started.
Wait. No, it hasn't been that long, has it? Unless it was in the fall.
All right, maybe it hasn't been. I don't know. I feel like it's been long.
It feels like forever, though. Because Bellator
the fights
tournaments are a year long, apparently.
Yeah, the fights get kind of spaced out. Like Neiman Gracie's been waiting a while to figure out who he's gonna fight.
Well, that's in part because Bellator decided that. Oh, I remember when it started. It started the same day that Rory Macdonald last fought, when he got his face destroyed by Jacare Vs.
Yeah.
So that's why this tournament feels so stressed out. Because we've been waiting around for Rory Macdonald's face to heal up.
Which, I ain't going to blame him for that. He gotta, y'all saw the fight. But Rory and Fitch. I was jokingly this entire time, jokingly and like halfway serious, picking Fitch for the upset. Mostly because and it's weird, I almost feel like Rory kind of halfway confirmed my thoughts and theories in his post-fight, which we'll get to because that's a whole story within itself. But I feel like ever since pretty much like his entire like post UFC career, like he just hasn't really been that same guy to me. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still really good, he's still talented, but like there's something missing. And you could attribute it to the man, for one, has been fighting professionally since he's like 16. So I get it. You see his age and you're like, oh, he's really young. But in terms of fight mileage, like,
he's been fighting for 15 years.
Yeah. Kind of like the Jordan Mean grind, where you look at Jordan Mean's age and you think like, oh, this guy can fight for like another 8 years. But you see how long he's been fighting and it's like, oh, all right, I get it. Like your body's probably pretty worn out. So part of it I attribute it to that, and to me something just seemed a little off about him. But he started off this fight pretty aggressive. I think out the gate he like pretty much marched up to Fitch. He started to throw hands. I was like, oh god, Fitch is about to get KO'd and I'm gonna look stupid. But this fight was just really interesting to watch. It was definitely a John Fitch kind of fight where John Fitch he kind of goes into zombie mode and you can hit him as many times as you want and he kind of just keeps plotting forward. And I have to give him a lot of credit for that, man, because he ate some shots, but the man he was super relentless. Like he just never stopped. And to be, how old? Fitch is almost 40, right?
Fitch is, I have it right here. He is 41 years old.
Yeah. To be able to, and albeit Fitch didn't land anything like super crazy. He's not the most, you guys, you know Fitch, you know how Fitch get down. But to be able to like keep that kind of pace, because he just was nonstop, albeit like I said, it wasn't super exciting, but I was kind of just, I ain't gonna say I was on my seat, but I was interested, like, is he really gonna pull this off? Because there were rounds where Macdonald would get the better on the feet, but Fitch was doing really good with just controlling the fight because he would actually end up getting a takedown, and he was working, trying to get positions. He was there. The effort was there. I'll say that. And I wasn't really scoring the fight while I was watching, but I would say around when I got to like the 4th and 5th, I was like, I don't know. The judges I could somehow see this being a split and going to Fitch, and then the world just explodes. Because I thought Fitch put on like a pretty, all things considered, a pretty decent performance. For the better half of 5 rounds. So we get to the judges, and I knew shenanigans were gonna happen because after the bell rung for the 5th round, I don't know if you noticed, but it took them a long time to get to the announcement, and I was like, oh boy, it's coming. They're about to drop the bomb on us. So my thought was split decision Fitch, but we got the scores. I will read them. We got a scorecard of 46-48, 47-47, and 47-47, which the fight was labeled a majority draw, but due to the tournament rules, a draw means the champion still wins. Because I guess,
they pulled out their ass, right? Like, that was not an I don't for a minute believe that was an established rule unless somebody can like forward me this information, because I understand Rory keeping his title. I don't understand him advancing in this Grand Prix.
I wonder if, and hopefully they had a little bit of foresight. Maybe, well, I don't really know how any of that works, like if you can even do that, but like maybe they just figured in the event of a draw, we need to have like a fail safe. We need to have something in plan that's not going to hold up this tournament any longer. And the way the announcers described it, which I guess I get, and I don't even know if they were saying that this was like an official, but I guess it was just a mindset, like, and that they took it literally, like, to be the champ, you have to beat the champ, and a draw is not beating the champ. So in some roundabout way, that means the champ, he doesn't win, but you didn't beat him, so I guess you don't get to advance. I guess that's how that kind of works. Not 100%.
My question, but cool, you can keep the belt. Not Fitch and lose. Like as much as the tournament, the winner of the tournament will be welterweight champion, or what? But the tournament is not the championship. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, should becomes where the fuck did this rule come from? Because if this had been, like if this had been Paul Daly and Michael Venom Page, who would have advanced then?
Mm-hmm. Why don't they just do like sudden death round? Oh, I say sudden death. I'm using video game terminology, but
So I'm just gonna go on the limb here and say it took so long for them to read off the scores because they went to Coker and Coker had to decide what to do. It was just like draw goes to the champion, winner he advances. I don't want John Fitch in my tournament anymore.
No, that is a valid question though. Had that happened in another fight that wasn't for the belt, like on the other side of the bracket, who would have?
Yeah.
Because to me, I just do a sudden death round. Like at that point, like
I really think it was just Coker didn't want to do that. Went to him to ask. Either they went to him to ask, or the State Athletic Commission would not allow like a sixth round in MMA. Like I maybe if it was like a fourth round, like it was a 3-round fight and it was a fourth round, but like
yeah, I can see maybe like on behalf of the athletic commission, they're trying to protect the fighters. That could be like a health
like maybe they
concern
maybe,
or
like maybe that's just not a thing they can do. In which case, they don't have anything built in for like if there's a draw. Because like if you remember when the UFC did the flyweight tournament, they were supposed to go to the sudden death fourth round. So like we know they can do sudden rounds to the athletic commission, sudden death rounds to the athletic commission, but we don't know if they can do it for tournaments.
Yeah. If anybody listening, by chance, if you guys know the rules or understand the
they're Bellator's rules. That's the thing. Like in terms of like what happens if you draw, who moves forward. Like, okay, you don't want to. Rory keeps the belt. Why don't they just run it back? And I really feel like the answer is Coker does not want that because he does not want John Fitch winning the belt and then winning this tournament because then it's just a gigantic waste of time for everybody involved.
I'll say that and if I'm Neiman Gracie, it's like, all right, bro, I've already been kind of sitting here,
Yeah.
I mean, it puts the guy on the other side of the bracket kind of in a bad spot because now he's just sitting here and not like, oh, now you guys got to fight again, and now I'm just kind of sitting here doing nothing, and so I get the mindset of we need to keep this tournament pushing along, but and like I said, we're not in Bellator, so we don't know like the inside. We don't know how 100% how all of this works. But I would just hope that like before they even started the tournament, like you needed to have
rules.
You need to think rules and worst case scenario. And this is one of the worst case scenarios. Like, all right, if we have a draw, what do we And maybe this was it. I don't know. Maybe this was the plan. But like you said, that plan doesn't make sense if this fight isn't for a title. Like if Daly, if Daly MVP was a draw, what would they have done? So yeah, you got to think worst case scenario when you have a tournament like this going on. I wonder if PFL because they're like all strictly.
Well, I think they have the point system, so like I think.
Oh yeah. So they kind of avoid that.
Yeah,
I say avoid,
I don't know if what happens once they move down to like 8 or 4 people or whatever. Because I think this year they're doing 8-man tournaments instead of 16-man tournaments. So I don't know if it's like the same concept with the point system, but
probably though with the point system you probably avoid. It's probably a least likely outcome.
Right.
I would think. Yeah. But what did you think of just like Fitch's performance? Like how the fight went overall?
So like I feel like we've learned a lot from watching like Jordan Mean and Rory McDonald. Like, well, I should say I feel we learned a lot from watching like the Rory McDonalds and like the Michael McDonalds of like MMA just kind of burn out. One, don't have your 15-year-old kid fight a full fucking grown adult. It doesn't matter if he wins. You're like that. If he gets hit, it's going to mess with his brain. So like relax. And he's going to be burnt out by the time. Like Roy McDonald, if he started his career at the right time, like within his late, early, mid 20s or whatever. Like
he's in prime form right now.
He should be in prime form right now. He should be like 6-7 years into his career. He should be at his athletic peak, performing at his absolute best. Instead, he looks like he is faded. He even said in his post-fight interview, like he's just having trouble pulling the trigger. And we'll get to what he said in a second, because that was just a gut punch, if I've ever seen one. Like he looked bad and not like I wanted to. This is just like John Fitch is faded. Like he's not the dude who fought for the title back in like 2008. Like I feel comfortable saying that.
Right. This Roy should, in theory, should kind of say run through him, but
he should handle him the same way he was able to handle like Tyron Woodley.
Right.
But I think this shows it's just better to be a specialist than it is to be a generalist, even if you grew up in MMA. Because John Fitch has one tool on his belt, but he can do it for 25 minutes against anybody in the sport, and he will not get tired. He will not fade away. He and like he's out here at 41 years old, still able to just take like even if he's not able to take you down, he'll put you along the fence and he'll tie you out. And like someone put it best, but like we thought on Twitter last night, I feel bad for forgetting their handle, but we thought like at this point like the kid like the 13-year-olds who took up MMA would be taking over. We're just learning that all they're gonna do is just run into brick walls when they find out they're not really all that great at any one thing.
All right.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I this fight just made me feel like I feel bad for Fitch because like and that takes a lot because this John
and especially like at his age, you got to think like this might have been like my last.
We said that last time, and he went on to win like the World Series of Fighting welterweight title.
That is true.
John Fitch will be in Brave CF in like a year, fighting for like $1 million or something.
Right, but it just you never know at his age. Like the window's closing.
Right, like you want to rack up as much. Like this tournament's supposed to be for like $2 million or something, if 50 Cent is correct or whatever. But like. You feel bad for Rory because you could tell he was just not with it this whole fight. Like physical decline aside, like he did not want to be in there, and he said as much.
Yeah, I was there, and we'll transition to that. So just to close out, just what happened in the fight. Like we said, it was a majority draw but Roy, by whatever Bellator rules, moves on. So his next opponent will be Neiman Gracie. But the talk of this fight was kind of the aftermath and Roy's post-fight interview, which it was something. It was very telling. To be honest though, I'm actually really glad he did say exactly what he said. Because I think, I don't know, it was a really, I'm all for like moments of just like honesty.
Yeah.
And I don't think to me, like you said, to me it sounds really clear in what he was saying. Like I feel confident saying that after this tournament's over, whether he wins or loses, I think he's done.
Yeah.
Like I think he's gonna wipe his hands clean. For those who didn't watch or didn't hear what he said, basically to paraphrase, he alluded to, and we've said this on the podcast before, like for whatever reason he's not able to pull the trigger anymore. And he went on to explain as much. And even for him, he was like, it's just a weird feeling. Like I used to come in here and like had like that killer attitude, and now he's kind of like he's not like that same guy anymore. Like
I want to point out, he said this in the most serial killery way possible. Like, just keeping with, like, I guess I was gonna say the gimmick, but it's just his real life self. Like, dude is he is just deeply unhappy with fighting right now.
Yeah.
Like, I no longer have the desire to hurt people, and he sounded so confused when he said it. Like, it's not just what he said; it's the way he said it, like how
Yeah,
it
like
was phrased and how it came out
I
of
think
him.
it almost felt like it felt like he's probably had this in the back of his head for like a while, and I think he's probably been struggling with it. And like after that fight, he had to really like sit back and like, oh man, like I really,
Yeah.
I don't know, like I think reality is kind of like hitting him, and he's like, oh man, like this, I really don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
And it feels like
then,
he was
like,
trying to
Big
like
John McCartney there, just no selling everything he fucking says. He's like, I don't want to fight anymore, and then Big John just freaking like, just rolls in and is just like, yeah, you're gonna be fighting Neiman Gracie next.
Right. I think he had to do that because that would have been a long post fight conversation. But yeah, like Roy, basically like, yeah, like I don't really know if I want to fight anymore, and
I just like he said, like, his faith doesn't, like, he just, it doesn't feel like it aligns with his faith anymore. I guess was he always really Christian, or is he like a born again Christian?
I don't know because I don't remember him ever.
Roy McDonald,
be
he strikes me as the type of dude who was like an atheist during his UFC run.
right. So I don't know. We could be 100% wrong. I don't remember him ever mentioning it before, but yeah, I don't know. He may be born again. Maybe he has been the whole time and we just didn't know.
Yeah.
But he basically alluded to like his faith is calling him to do something else. And like for me, I saw a lot of people like ragging on him for it, and I 100% disagree. Like, bro, if you're not, and I know it's got to be a hard pill to swallow because regardless, he's been doing this for a long time now, and we say this a long time. Like when you've been fighting, it's kind of like all you know. That's a hard thing to just kind of like let go of, especially for a guy like him who's still so young.
Like this is a guy who's been doing this professionally since he was basically like a sophomore in high school.
Right. And now he's finally hitting that realization, like, oh man, like
there's more to life.
Yeah, there's more to life than just this. And to me, man, I'm all for that. Like, if you think your calling is to do something else, hey man, because this is not the sport that you really want to like half commit to, because you're literally like putting your life on the line when you go in there. And this ain't the sport to really, you don't want to have that kind of mindset going into a fight.
Right.
So I would say, man, listen, man, if you think you've been called to do something else and this isn't really for you anymore, if you want to just
hang it
up, yeah, man, you hang it up, wipe your hands clean. I'm 100% behind you. For one, I'm always for guys. I'd rather you leave too early than too late. And to be honest, I don't even really say this is too early because, like we said, in terms of fight mileage, the dude he's been fighting for a long time. and you've had a really good career. Rory's given us classics that
he gave us what I think is the greatest fight of all time.
and
In the Robbie Lawler fight.
and he gave us the greatest like the greatest like MMA related picture ever with him and Robbie just staring against each other with just blood just the dude is giving us he's giving us moments that'll just pretty much be immortalized.
Like,
so
nothing to be ashamed of. No, like, and there was so much pressure put on him since he was young. He was always going to be the next GSP, and he was never going to be that.
right.
And that like, and that's what happens when your country turns out like 5 notable fighters. Like, oh, that sounded meaner than it intended to be, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, like when they find a guy who they think can be that next guy, then it's like,
and then he's your best friend or whatever. It's just, I can't imagine that burden, man.
yeah, that's the hard thing to deal with. But yeah, man, if like I said, man, if you think you're calling to do something else, man, go do that something else. Like you're still young, and in the large scope of life, he's got a lot left to live.
From the sound of it, he's been smart with his money too. Like he's getting all these like big sponsors from like we joked before the podcast about John Fitch. Oh my god, I didn't say my awesome joke. My amazing pre-taped joke.
Oh man.
No, I have to say it. I have to say it now, Sensei.
All right,
Sensei, how did John Fitch win this fight? Or how did John Fitch fight this fight? What did he use?
Blockchaining takedowns.
Yes.
90% of the audience has no idea what the reference is. But if you guys know John Fitch,
there are 3 things John Fitch loves. Wrestling, showing confused C-list reality TV personalities around his very sad single guy apartment. and Bitcoin, I guess not Bitcoin anymore, but any one of those like what are they called, like
cryptocurrency?
Those cryptocurrencies, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
But apparently, freaking Rory's into it too, because he's been getting like $250,000 in investments per fight from his sponsor.
Yeah.
So I hope well, for starters, I hope he cashes out, and then he takes that money and goes to start the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He can still train with GSP on weekends if he wants to.
I was saying, and who knows? Like maybe he hangs it up for a while, takes some years off. Maybe he's one of those guys, maybe still just works out in his off time like GSP, who's still just out here training for no reason. Maybe he comes back and does like a one-off when he's like 33, 32. I don't know, but either way, well, I'm guessing unless he just abruptly retires. We'll be seeing him against Neiman Gracie, and we'll have to see how that.
Like I can't get over how just like this man is having like an existential like crisis in the cage, and Bellator is just like, here, pose for this picture with this guy you have to fight in like 2 months.
Right.
And, oh yeah, that's the thing. He's fighting Neiman Gracie in like early July in MSG.
Yeah.
Like that.
Not a.
Like that man's like, I need time to figure out like
my life
and what I want. And Bellator's just like, no, you have to fight. You're gonna get in this fucking cage. You're gonna fight. You have no choice. You have the belt.
Yeah.
You can't just sub in Lorenz Larkin.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in. Yeah, I don't know. This year's gonna be interesting, but best of luck to Rory, man. I'm all for self-realization,
I really hope he figures it all out, man.
Yeah, I hope he figure it out, man. Because a lot of fighters don't even hit that point. They're just out here just kind of. At least I feel like he's trying to find himself.
Yeah. I hope Roy just like fumbles his way through this tournament, where like he beats guys, but he doesn't really beat them, And he leaves with like $1 million.
Yeah.
That's the sunset ending I want for him.
Go coast off, Roy. Enjoy your crypto money. But that was the main event. Lot to talk about from that one. Co-main event, moving on. Another title fight in the women's flyweight division. Halima Lay McFarland versus Vita Ortega. I mean, good on McFarland. Just the guy that I can't go fast forward. That blood at the end just really got me. But
So
I mean,
there's a picture floating around where you can see Vita Ortega's skull. That elbow got so deep that you can just see her skull.
Yeah, well, yeah. She had about a 4 or 5 indent cut in the middle of her forehead.
Yep.
But I mean, good on Ortega. I mean, I think we kind of knew how this fight was gonna play out.
Apparently, like she showed out. Like she beat the crap out of McFarland on the feet. McFarland's still not a very good striker and still not all that proficient a wrestler.
Yeah, like it's like she can wrestle, but it's like she doesn't have a lot of. It's not like a lot of explosiveness.
Right.
Or
she's like she is a chain wrestler without a whole bunch of options. Or not options. Like I want to say craft because that sounds mean. Because like she has craft. Like she's very much somebody who's still learning how to wrestle. And that's more apparent when you're a chain wrestler because you have to go from one thing to the next and you have to do it, smooth and quickly. So, like, the first takedown of this fight, I want to say was she literally just jumps onto Ortega's leg and then climbs up into the clinch for, like, a body lock takedown that she attempts and doesn't get. Like, that's the type of stuff she's doing right now. So, it reminds me a little bit of like Cynthia Cavillo, who herself is like not all that great a wrestler, but she's able to just get fights to the ground, where she's a fantastic grappler. I don't know, like
it's weird to watch, but she makes it work.
Yeah,
like she has enough grit to where she's just kind of gonna keep going for it, and eventually I'm just gonna get what I want.
Eventually you'll slip up and we'll be on the ground.
Right. And then I'll have you in my world, and then,
right.
So on and so forth. But no, Ortega did do good on the feet, definitely landed a lot of good shots, but McFarland just kind of relentless with the takedown, just really making it a point. Like I said, being a specialist, like I have this one thing that is kind of much better than the rest of my skill set, so I'm just going to kind of use this, and I'm going to use it until it works. And she was able to get Ortega down numerous times, and then in the third round, she got Ortega down, caught her with an elbow. The elbow put a DBZ crater in the middle of Ortega's forehead. Blood was going everywhere. Like, her entire face was just red from this elbow. And then they ended up stopping the fight. Took it to the corner. Doctor said, nah.
Doctor says, like, that's your skull.
Right. It's like, you feel that? You feel what I'm touching? Like, that's bone right there. Yeah, man, they waved off the fight. So Halima Lay McFarland defends her flyweight title, wins via TKO stoppage. Good win for McFarland. Like I said, able to just kind of assert her game plan. You when you fight her, you know what she wants to do, and she still goes in there and does it. But yeah, I would like to see, because she'd be really dangerous if she had some striking going on. If she was not even like a knockout artist or anything crazy, just slightly just competent boxing and just a bit more like overall explosiveness.
Like a Damian Miles style of boxing, I think would suit her best.
Right.
Where like Damian Miles is not the most athletic dude either, but like when he gets people into his world on the ground, he is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And he has terrific pressuring footwork, which I don't think Illinois has. And that allows him to get to the fence, where it's just easier to get takedowns.
All right. So, but we'll see. Halima Lay keeps winning. Like I said, I think she's like becoming one of the faces of Bellator if she isn't already. So we'll see what she keeps doing, but good win on her. Good elbow. Blood everywhere. All right, Vita, I hope you're good. I hope that cut heals up, because that that, no bueno. No bueno. Not a cut I'm trying to wake up and look at the next morning. But that was the women's flyweight title fight. Moving on down to the lightweight division. This was the fight that I was most looking forward to. Benson Henderson versus Adam Piccolotti. In true Bendo fashion, it's not a Bendo fight if it doesn't go to split decision.
It's not a Bendo fight if he doesn't win a fight, he loses.
Man, oh man. But this was a really, if you like grappling, this fight was fun.
Yeah.
There was just so many. It was just all. I mean, I don't say it was all grappling. But there were some strikes, but the majority of this fight and pretty much all of the most entertaining parts of it was just these crazy grappling exchanges, getting out of bad spots. Bendo might be like one of the most flexible human beings I've ever seen. Like the way he gets out of some positions that I just don't even understand how he. I don't know.
Can we just talk? Can we talk about how Adam Piccolotti hit a dragon sleeper on Bendo?
I'm still trying to figure out how did Bendo turn in the was that the triangle body? What did he?
That was a guillotine.
And like he turned.
He literally turned all the way around. So he was trying to get his back on the mat, but he just ended up in a real life dragon sleeper.
You guys, man, just go back and watch. There are so many. This was an amazing fight for both of them. Like, there were just so many exchanges, and just like every time it looked like somebody was in a bad spot, they do something just out of this world to get out. Bendo was contorting his bodies in ways that I just didn't even know were possible to get out of submissions. It's like the dude he's like impossible to choke out. Like, maybe you can get lucky and grab a limb like Pettis did. You're trying to go for a neck, forget it. He finds ways that just don't even make sense.
Rocky Johnson is the greatest submission artist of all time.
Right.
No idea how he did it.
But he did it. Wasn't it like his first fight, I think?
Something like that.
Yeah, one of his earlier ones. Yeah, whoever submitted Bendo, boy, you better get on Twitter or Instagram and just boast. Like, I did that.
I grabbed that neck. It's mine.
Right. It's like when somebody grabs Bendo's neck, like he goes into like hyperdrive. But I can't even say that because he's pretty calm when he.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was.
When
chill.
He fights, he does not panic. He doesn't. And it just sometimes it looks so bad, like, oh man, he's really about to get choked out, and then he does this crazy contortionist move, and it was wild.
Dude was hit like full on like splits in the cage to get out of submissions before.
Piccolotti had him. I can't remember if it was like a body lock or something, and he literally turned his body around into it and ended up getting up on top.
That was the end of the third round, yeah.
Like, bro, I don't understand how like your back didn't just
like give out like Nikola Jocic's last night, like.
Because this fight was awesome. As with every Bendo fight, people are gonna feel some way about him winning these really close fights. I'm biased, so I'm not going to complain.
I thought Piccolotti did enough to win. I have no idea how they gave Bendo the third round, but
my only, and I was thinking that too because I felt like I thought Piccolotti did win the third. I guess the only thing I could say, maybe in defense of Bendo, is like a lot of this fight was, like I said, it was a lot, especially in the third, it was a lot of just position changes and control, but not a lot in terms of damage. So I don't know. Maybe the only thing I could think of was in like that last minute, Bendo ended up on top, got off like a little bit of ground and pound.
Right.
Kind of splitting hairs, but
he did win the second round, like pretty clearly too.
Yeah. So it was a really close fight. Great performance from both. I would love to see them fight again, because they're both really evenly matched. Great showing from Piccolotti, and I will say from Bendo, regardless of whether anybody thought he lost or not. I've noticed in like his last, probably say about 3 fights, ever since he fought not Sadawad. Who did he fight before Sadawad?
Patricky? No, he lost to Patricky.
God, who was it? Either way, he he's starting to look a little more like aggressive.
This was the most active I've seen him in a minute because like he lost the Chandler and the Pitbull fights. Mostly just like even the Pitbull fight. He just did not do anything.
Anything, right? Yeah, he was just sitting there, just kind of like waiting for something to happen. And in this fight, in the Sadawad fight, why can I not remember the other guy that he beat in Bellator?
Roger Huerta?
The Huerta fight. Those 3 fights, he was going out and like actively looking for finishes and like just really actually just trying to put it on his opponent. As to where in some of these other fights we've seen, he's just kind of real lackadaisical and he just doesn't really seem like he's all the way there. But lately, it feels like he kind of
cares.
Yeah, like he cares. He's picking it up again, and that's a good thing to see. Because when he wasn't doing that, I was really worried. Like, oh man, we might have really seen the last of him. But if he can,
like, might really be the end of Bendo. But
if he can keep up that mindset of going into fights, like I need to be active. I just really need to go out and I need to show out. Like if he can keep that mindset, he might have one last title on it. I mean, because dude is still, I feel like physically he's still there.
Oh yeah, like people keep saying like he looks like he's like I think his game has been figured out more than like he's looked like he's slowed down. Like he fought Patricky. Patricky throws hella hard and he throws a lot. And like in that fight, he didn't do anything because he just didn't feel comfortable with that power coming back at him.
Mm.
Even if like Patricky, like that was the one fight where Patricky wasn't throwing a lot of volume. It's like, okay, like Bendo, the way he chooses to go about fighting safe is really strange to me. Because when he strikes, he'll go like wild, but when he wants to fight safe, he just completely shuts down and starts moving.
Right, there's no like in between.
Yeah,
like he's either I'm going all in or I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, like the third round, the takedown at the beginning of the round wasn't really a takedown. It was Bendo went for like a flying switch kick and got pushed to the mat, and Piccolati was able to get to his back from there. Like he's a bit he's a point fighter and like he fights really safe, but like the way he goes about fighting really safe still puts him in like a lot of danger. Like how many times during this fight did he just give up his back because he felt safe there?
It's almost like he gets a sick thrill out of like, I'm gonna let this guy think he can choke me out. I'm just gonna find a way to MacGyver my way out of this.
Right.
I'm gonna pull a Houdini and just get out of this situation.
I mean, he's now 4-3 in Bellator, 3-fight winning streak. So I imagine he gets the winner of Oh wait, is he fighting the winner, or did they do that? I don't even know what the fuck's going on in Bellator. It's been a while.
He's up. He's probably up there though.
Him, the other Pitbull. Though I don't know if they do a third Michael Chandler fight, but they did a third fight. So who knows? They did 4th fights with like Daniel Strauss and Patricio Pitbull. So
yeah, he puts himself up there. His name is, I think, slowly getting like back in that conversation.
Yeah.
I would just hope his next fight, if you want to be the guy, you probably need to get a really definitive win and either a dominant performance or just like an outright finish. But we'll see. It was a really, really close fight though. You could have scored it for either guy. Now you get no argument from me.
Right.
But
speaking of active.
This next fight.
Lion.
Phil freaking Davis, K1 champion.
Going down to the most interesting weight class in MMA, 205, where you never know on a night-to-night basis what's going to happen. Phil Davis versus Liam McGeary. I was worried for this fight, because in my mind, what was going to happen is pretty much what happened the first time they fought. McGeary's going to get taken down. It's going to be a long night. It's not going to look good. He's going to get taken down. He's going to get beaten up. He'll throw up some crazy submissions and make me think he's about to pull off a comeback, but it won't actually happen. Nope. None of that happened this fight. McGeary still lost, but He got out kickboxed by Phil Davis. You heard that correct. For the better part of
like that's not the craziest thing I've like that's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. Like Phil Davis, despite not being the most technically smooth kickboxer, like he's still like a really good kicker. Like he still has a really nice left hook. He rarely ever lands it, but it creates space for him to actually throw that kick. So like there are things he does well. What I did not expect was him to just go freaking like 100 miles an hour, trying to beat the ever living crap out of McGeary.
Phil fought like he was angry at somebody or something. Like somebody pissed him off that morning, and he was like, "All right, I gotta go. I gotta let this pressure off my chest." And he really went out there and just kickboxed McGeary, just beat him up. And it was, and this is the best. This is like the best form of Phil Davis striking wise I've ever seen. Like easily, best striking performance I've ever seen from him.
Like yeah, like all fairness, McGeary is kind of like the Deontay Wilder of MMA like heavyweight, except he's not as powerful. Like he's basically just I'm a 1-2 guy, who also happens to be really good off his back. Like he doesn't have like a ton in the way of footwork or defense, but like still. Like we've seen Phil Davis in there with worse kickboxers and still not look as good. Like the man broke McGeary's face, his jaw, on the left hook in the third round that led to the tap out.
Oh man, did you see the Did you get to see the picture that he posted?
Oh no!
Oh my God, his jaw is done. Well, I ain't gonna say it's done, but like yeah, his jaw was broken. I want to say I don't know if he chipped a tooth or lost a tooth, but like he had like an indent on his jawbone. Like, bro, I don't know who pissed Phil Davis off that morning, but Phil was out there slinging, and boy, McGeary ate all. And I think that jaw broke happened. I'm like, yeah, it's bad. Like, it's bad, and I think that happened like early in like the second round. So he's just spending like a good quarter of this fight with an indent on like his lower jaw.
Yeah. Like Phil Davis, like he's in this weird spot. I don't know if does Ryan Bader still have the light heavyweight belt or did he vacate it?
No, I think he still got it.
But he's in this weird spot. He's lost to Bader twice. He's not very fun, or historically hasn't been very fun. Like nobody is would ever be hyped for like Ryan Bader, Phil Davis 3, except for me because I'm weird.
But he's still like a legit top 10
like
heavyweight.
The dude is he's a top 10 like hey, like if he was in the UFC, like he'd have fought for the title like 3 times over by now. In the years that freaking John Jones was just partying his ass off. Like freaking he's still be Anthony Smith.
Yeah. And with this improved striking, like dude has gotten better.
He's still he's still getting better, which is weird. He's how many years in his career now? Like 10 years. He's a decade into fighting. Like 10, 11 years. He's 34 years old, which yeah. But at the same time, he hasn't taken a lot of damage. Like I think that's the Rumble fight. I think that's the only fight I've ever seen him actually get his ass beaten. Like most of his other fights are slow, plodding, kickboxing matches, or he takes the other guy down and just chips away at him for 15 minutes. So it makes sense that he still has a lot left in the gas tank. Yeah, no, like this is the stuff he has to do to get people excited about seeing him fight for the title again. And all the more power to him. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know if he has like a contract thing coming up where he's like, maybe I can get back in the UFC. Maybe they're like, maybe with I guess we're doing Bader Congo, right? That's next. So or yeah, Bader Congo, because I was gonna say Vitaly Minakov, but Congo beat him.
Yeah,
that's $3 million on the toilet.
I don't speak of him anymore.
But maybe he knows something we don't, and like there's talks that they're gonna do uh something with the heavyweight title, and he just wants to have his name in it. But props to Davis. Just I'm all for dude scavenging like he came in this fight off a loss. He was it Vadim Nemkov that he lost.
Nemkov, yeah. I think he lost a split.
He lost a split decision. In a fight where he didn't like he wasn't outgunned or anything. It's just the other guy landed just a little bit better. So he just and more often so he came out here aggressive. So
Yeah.
I like that attitude. I hope it carries over to his grappling because I think to be successful at the highest levels for him, he's going to be able to. He's going to need to be able to lean on his grappling, and he's not going to be able to hold guys Well, he probably will still be able to hold it, but that's not going to last forever.
Yeah, take that aggression you got in your striking, put that in the grappling. Like, take guys down and just wail on them.
Like he did that at the end of this fight because he had McGeary down and he was, once he felt secure and melt, he just beat the crap out of him.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we didn't mention. Yeah, he finished McGeary via TKO, third round.
Oh, that elbow! God damn.
Yeah, man. He, like I said, I don't know what happened between now and this fight, but boy, Phil Davis has been in the hyperbolic time chamber. He's been going off. Like he really came out like he had something to prove, and then he proved it. Congrats to him. Just great overall improvement on his game as a whole. Dude, just
still a light heavyweight, man.
legit top light heavyweight.
Yeah.
So good on Mr. Phil Davis. And the last fight, Bellator 220, at least on the main card that we'll mention, Gaston Bolanos and Nathan Stolen. I was about to make a bad joke. Now I'll say it. He got stole on. That was, yeah, whatever. But this was a nice, fun,
2.5-minute scrap.
Yeah, a good way to kick off a card. Some quick violence. Fight doesn't last that long. Only goes a little over 2 minutes. Both guys just kind of come out and they were both just willing to engage, willing to throw. The finishing sequence was kind of funny because it's like they both had the same idea, but Gaston just hit a little harder. Because I think they both got hit. They landed at the same time.
I want to say Stolen landed first, but Gaston landed immediately afterwards, so he wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, but Gaston he stumbled back from his hit, but Nathan got dropped, and then he got swarmed, and then that was that. The fight was just a quick, fun scrap until one guy, got hit a little too hard, and it was over. But good win for Bolanos. Dude just he's always in fun fights in Bellator. I feel like he'll just be that guy. Just Mr. Throw me in a violent fight, and good things will happen regardless if I win or lose. But that was the main card for Bellator 220. It was a really good card. Pretty much all of these fights on the main card were entertaining. It's just wild because Phil Davis is not somebody you think of entertaining fights. He's not a guy you really think of. But that fight was actually not half bad to watch. I was kind of amazed at how much he had improved.
Top to bottom, this was a good card.
Yeah, and if you guys go back on the app or the website, go back and watch a lot of these prelims because boy, there were some bodies being caught.
Bellator prelim historically has been the most violent hour and a half of MMA anywhere on the planet. If you're ever just bored on a Friday or Saturday night at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, just tune in because you're gonna see somebody get slept. Somebody probably will die. It is magical.
Yes. Speaking of 205, I'll just give one quick prelim shout out. Chuck Campbell versus Bruno Casillas. Go back and watch that fight. A man was kneed to death. nearly lost his life. Probably wasn't that serious, but no, he got beat up. It was a pretty violent finish. But now, like, if you guys go back and just look at the Bellator prelims, just look at the results, they're almost all finishes.
Except, strangely enough, there were 2 other draws on this card. God.
Bellator going Bellator. And shout outs to Stokes' homeboy, Chris Inocencio, who fought Boris Novichokov. Probably said that wrong. But
a quick word on Boris here. Boris was like, he was not kidding when he said Boris Novachkov was like, he was an Olympic wrestler. He wrestled in the 2016 Olympics. So, especially Stokes' backyard fighting league, better than the Olympics.
Yeah, because apparently Chris is he was the trainer?
He was one of the participants.
Oh, yeah. So, Chris, you beat an Olympian. We didn't get to watch the fight because this was a part of the post-limbs, and boy, I'm tired and old and washed. So after the car was over, I went to sleep. But yeah, Stokes' homie Chris, who was a part of the backyard fight league, he took them backyard skills into the cage and he beat an Olympian. Hey, I'm all for it. Yeah, I'm all for it. So yeah, shout outs to Stokes' friend Chris Inocencio. I don't know what he did to Boris. I didn't get to watch the fight, but he went out there and got the W. So, yeah, Bellator 220 overall, what actually was a really good card from top to bottom. Bodies caught on the prelims left and right, so much violence, and then the main card just kind of continued that. And then the main event, as bizarre as it was, was still just entertaining to watch. It was one of the better Bellator cards.
Right, and like the next 2 cards are interesting. Like the next one I won't call good, but it's interesting. Like the Newcastle card that I think is just going to be streamed on their app and available for all the fans over there in the UK. You know, Brent Primus, Derek Campbell are on it. They're not fighting each other, they're fighting local dudes. Fabian Edwards, brother of Leon Edwards, UFC top 10 welterweight. And Raymond Daniels is coming back into the MMA. And then they have Saul Rogers. And then the card after that is probably one of the best cards ever. Bellator 221, Chandler versus Pitbull.
Oof.
Yeah, that's the card with Douglas Lima, Michael Venom Page, AJ McKee Jr. versus Pat Curran, the only real American Jack Swagger, and Taiwan Claxton.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun card. I cannot wait for Chandler Pitbull.
That is some heat right there, man.
Yeah, Bellator. Good job. We make fun of y'all, but that's a card. I mean, that's a card.
We can make fun of them because this fight's been like boiling for like 3 years now.
Right. But hey, better late than never. I'll take it.
I think they were just waiting for Chandler to win the belt back.
Please, MMA gods, don't take nobody from that card, man. It is.
They got 2 weeks.
Almost there. That was Bellator 220. Awesome card. Definitely go back and watch that. Lots of violence. To go back and watch. Moving on to the main event of the evening. We had UFC. Lord, where does it take place? Oh, Fort Lauderdale or Sunrise.
Okay, so it was called the UFC Fight Night Fort Lauderdale, but the actual place it took, like the location of the venue, is Sunrise, Florida, which is it's like when they have like anything at the Meadowlands, and they're like, this is so and so New York City, and then like the Meadowlands are in Jersey,
right?
East Rutherford.
It's adjacent.
Yeah, it's like that. So, you know.
But either who, took place in good old Florida. Headlined by Jacare Souza and Jacare Hermansson. Was originally supposed to be Jacare and Romero too, but you know that didn't happen because life isn't fair and we don't get the fights we want. We were also supposed to get Cowboy Oliveira and Leach, but that ended up being Cowboy Oliveira and Mike Perry. But I will not complain. We'll get to that fight eventually, but it was fun. But anywho,
I will say, when I feel like the theme of tonight is opportunity.
yes, the best the best ability is availability, and when you stay ready, you don't got to get ready.
Yeah. We
And
we had a few people who I'm just going to assume they were the underdog, just come up and show out tonight, and did the damn thing.
yeah, and well, yeah, we'll just start with the main event: Jacare Hermansson, Jacare Souza.
Jack Hermansson. Take. Let's just start off with the freaking the result. Jack Hermansson beat Jacare Souza
Yeah,
by a unanimous decision.
and it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like, oh, it was a split decision and Jacare should have won, or oh, I don't know what the judges were watching. Like,
No, it was a clear, decisive
yeah,
victory for Jack Hermansson in a competitive fight.
and it was hard for me to watch because Jacare's like one of my favorite. Like, he's one of the few guys who like I pretty much root for him no matter who he's fighting. But even after this fight was over, I was like, man, I can't even really be mad at Jack because he really did just come in here and just kind of show out. Like, man, Jack has just kind of come out of nowhere, and
I feel bad
dude,
for making fun of him 2 weeks ago.
right? Like, Jack low key the real deal out here, man.
There's a man who 3 years ago got submitted by Cesar Ferreira.
And now he's beating Dave Branch and Jacare Souza.
Like, being knocked out by Thiago Santos might be the best thing for your career because then you go on to beat people and like fight for titles and shit. That's where Dave Branch went wrong. You should have let him knock him out.
Oh man, yeah. Jack Hermansson came in here and boy, just really. I can't say great on his feet, like but
I will like.
I'll
There's a
say in
certain
terms of like,
style of striking that we don't see often, which is literally just quick, short combination punching.
yeah,
Where like you're obviously not throwing like 100% into each one of your punches, but like you're landing and the other guy's coming forward, so it doubles the effect. And Jack Hermansson just masterclass of that on Souza tonight, because good God.
and he caught Souza with, there were some good combinations he was catching, like you said, with them the short just. There was one moment, I think it was one of the moments where I don't know if he had rocks or just kind of stumbled him. He hit it with a nice little quick inside, like 3-4 piece.
That's the one he dropped him on, the 4-piece combination.
Yeah, it was like Jacare was trying to unload for he's going to hit you with like a really heavy hook or just a really hard one too. And Jack is he's giving you, not like I won't even call it a pity pat shot because they have some sting on them, but like you said, it's not a full blown, maybe it's like an 80% hit.
It's not,
like,
it's not what Jacare was doing.
Right, exactly. And it just kept working. Like, Jacare goes for these really hard hits, and he did land some of them. But for every one Jacare landed, Hermansson catch you with a 3-piece here, a 4-piece there, getting in and out, and always active, always moving around, just not, trying not to be a standing target. And there was a moment, because in the first 2 rounds, it was like, oh my God, like Jack is about to just run away with this fight. And then I thought Jacare did a good job. I can't remember if it was the third or the fourth where he started landing a lot of good body shots.
That was the third round.
Yeah, and he was landing them hard, and I was like, oh man, like if he can keep landing these, he might be able to slow Hermansson down, and maybe he can, climb his way back into this fight. And I mean, Jacare did have moments, like he landed a lot of good body shots. He definitely caught Hermansson a couple of good times, but he could never dominate for but so long.
Like,
and
Hermansson always had an answer. Speaking
right.
of Dragon Sleeper, man, like freaking, what's his name? He almost hit one. Jacare. We were talking about. He dropped him, went for the guillotine. Jacare went like back to the mat. And he had him in the Dragon Sleeper. He let it go.
If Jacare, I mean, if Hermansson would have choked Jacare out, I might have just.
There might not be a podcast.
Yeah, right. The SoundCloud page just would have been like a stop sign, or like under construction. We just would have never came back. But man, yeah, Hermansson, man, it was one of those performances where like I wanted to really hate on him. It's like, man, you beat like one of my favorite fighters, but it was such a good performance that I'm like, I can't be mad. Like he put himself in good position after the David Branch win, or I can't even say after that. He's been in good position this whole time because he's just been winning. Like
it's like a 4 or 5 fight win streak for him now.
Yeah, so he's been winning, he's been active, he's been available, and when he gets the call to have the big moment, because the Dave Branch fight, that was a big one too, he answers the call every time. And in this fight, I thought like, oh man, this might be a too big of a leap. Like he might not be, I didn't think like on the feet he was gonna just do this. Like
so light and just so quick with those combos. And my favorite thing, just the wrestling. He refused to be afraid of Jacare's guard. And like we've said, when was the last time you saw Jacare use his guard in an MMA fight?
Yeah, very, very rarely.
Right? Like it was probably like the Yoel Romero fight where he spent that entire time just getting bombed on by Romero. So I really respect him for just being like, yeah, no, I'm gonna take you down and go where I'm strong, even though you're supposed to be stronger there, because it'll mess up your rhythm, and I'll be able to land literally 100 shots from the top. Because he landed like 100 shots in that second round.
Yeah, he was
something crazy like that.
He was super active, like really active, really efficient. And like you said, for any time Jacare hit him with something, he had an answer for it.
Anytime like he would land something flush and Jacare would try to duck out to his left or right, Hermansson would just follow up with a quick flurry and then back off. Like he hit the corner too, back like throw like a 3-piece and then back off, and then so it ends up being like he lands like 5 punches in the span of like 4 seconds. It's super impressive stuff.
And it was wild to watch because I remember in the Jacare Weidman fight, like man, Jacare got hands. He out here, IBF world champ out here. Like he out here boxing Weidman. Well, I ain't gonna say it because Weidman to me looked really good in that fight too. So I'm thinking like, all right,
this is like if Weidman was able to keep up that pace and had mixed in more of his own wrestling.
Right. What could have happened?
What could have? Yeah, because like the problem. And Jocko had the same issue. Not Jocko. I call him Jocko. Hermansson had the same issue, where like, okay, I took my foot off the gas, and like I stayed in front of him for too long, and he started hitting me with body shots, and that opened up my head. Like, for Weidman, it was just he got tired, and he just started staying in front of he was just easier to cut off. Like Hermansson did a better job of just staying on his toes and moving out the way. Except for like the 3rd and 5th round where Jacare just got off whatever he wanted.
Yeah. Jacare had moments, but it was just like Hermansson did so good in the first half of the fight. It was like it's too little too late at this point. Unless you can manage to just get a finish, because he's kind of just boxing you up and just dancing around you. And you can't match the volume, and it's just, one of them performances that you just kind of have to tilt your hat to Hermansson. Like, I love Jacare like the next man, but
in Swedish MMA history. Take that, Alexander Gustafsson.
Man, yeah, Hermansson, he showed out, man. You got to put him up there now. He is
a top 5 middleweight.
Yep.
Can't argue.
Gotta throw his name up there. Might not be the flashiest, might not, be the biggest personality, but hey man, skill for skill, these last 2 wins that really proved it. I ain't saying the man's gonna win a belt or anything like that, but he's deserving of having his name mentioned.
Yeah,
So
I want to see him fight Gastelum because Gastelum is a similar-ish style to Jacare, except he's a little bit more aggressive.
yeah,
But not aggressive as in like he Jacare likes to march forward and stuff, but he likes to counter more. He really likes countering with the hook or the that overhand right. Like Kelvin Gastelum will just throw.
yeah, he'll just go in. Yeah, he'll just go in throw hands.
Yeah, so like I really be interested in seeing how his style plays off of like a switch up with a similar style, a similar approach from the opponent. So
Yeah, we'll see. But great win for Hermansson, man. That was a I just got to tilt my hat. That was a you want to show out, make a name for yourself. That's how you do it for 5 rounds. He did everything but get a finish.
just you put yourself in the year contention, man.
Yeah,
Because a dude who fought literally like a month ago.
And I don't know. Who knows? We might see him again by the end of this year.
Dude, they got a Stockholm card coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 3 months away?
Yeah, throw him on that.
2 months away? Like, yeah.
Get him. See if you can get him another name, another top 10 middleweight he can fight, and he wins that. We could very well 2020 Hermansson in a title fight, or at least like a contender eliminator or something like that, if he keeps this up. So shout out to Jack Hermansson. Awesome 5-round performance. He won unanimous decision against Jacare Souza. The co-main event, which I actually did not watch because the Bendo fight was on. And if I got to pick between Bendo versus Piccolotti and Greg Hardy versus Dmitry Smoliak.
Yeah. They cut and literally re-signed just so Greg Hardy could have somebody he was able to beat.
Yeah, because Dmitry lost to Cyril Asker and who else? I forgot. His UFC tenure was not good.
It was embarrassingly not good.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to point out the best win on his record is over a guy who's 5-2. And prior to that, it was over a guy who's 1-0.
Yeah.
So, here it is. He lost to Luis Enrique as well.
Yeah, so we kind of know what this was. They brought in Dmitry to get
My favorite part of this fight, which I hated completely, utterly from the moment they announced it, was the pre-fight thing where they have Greg Hardy hitting pads at like AT&T and Dmitry Smoliakov just like shadow boxing in the bar in a sweater.
Was it me or did Dmitry? This has nothing to do with the fight. His body composition is really strange. he's like in shape, but he's fat, but he's muscular at like the same time. And then his head is not proportionate.
That is an in shape body.
Right, like it's weird. It was real. It was so the whole time the fight was going, I was like, why does he look like that?
He has abs, but he's fat.
Right. And the thing, he has like defined abs, but he's fat. And then he's fat, but his arms are still muscular. But he's in shape, but he's a dad. Like it's so weird. Like guys, if you want to laugh along, and I swear you'll understand it. If you saw this fight, you have to know what I'm talking about. He has one of the weirdest body compositions I've ever seen on a human. It does not make sense.
The dad weight, bro.
But it's like divorced dad weight, but now he's finding himself and he's starting to work out again.
He's also probably taking steroids. Let's be real.
Well, they didn't work.
I have no comment on the actual fight, by the way. Fuck. My only comment is fuck Greg Hardy.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. The Bendo fight was on, and
it was
like
a
I
much
said,
better fight.
Yes, if I'm picking between Bendo and Greg Hardy, Bendo wins 10 times out of 10, and that's just kind of what that is. So Greg Hardy won via TKO, but
He's still
I
bad.
didn't see it.
He is
And-
still a bad fighter.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, so 'cause we still got a lot of other fights to cover. But this is gonna blow up in the UFC's face eventually. Like when you have to go, I forgot the name of the first guy that he fought. I can't remember his name. Something Allen, I think.
Not Asker. Alan Crowder.
Yeah. And Alan Crowder himself, no disrespect to him, not like a top heavyweight by any stretch of the imagination. If you struggled with Alan Crowder, who probably was gonna go on to win that fight, if we're all being honest, had the fight not ended the way it did, they had to bring in Dimitri, a guy who
Is bad.
like we said, yes. And the thing is, like, Crowder is not, in terms of competition, like, it's not like Crowder's some world beater. So they had to really dig deep to find somebody that you could just kind of have your way with. That's not good. Like, that's not good at all.
Are they just gonna do this for like the next 3 years of his career and hope that he's like turns out to be good?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
the
why I'm
plan?
like, that's why I'm like, this is gonna blow up eventually, because the second, if you struggled with an Alan Crowder, like, what are you gonna do when you even fight, like, I don't know,
He can take a punch.
right? Any heavyweight, just any heavyweight.
And that's the thing. Like, here's the thing. Hardy might actually hit really super hard, even like especially hard for heavyweight, and he might be super athletic. The bottom rung of like the UFC heavyweights who deserve to be there, who make their livings like on the hard shit.
Right. And, you know, if they can manage to get you out the first round, you know, and
Right.
slow you down a little bit, now you're in one of those ugly, the heavyweight fights we don't want to see, where dudes are just kind of slopping around the cage, and this is kind of one of those.
Like Jairzinho Rosenstruck. It would not surprise me if he just went out there and was able to knock Hardy out in like the second round.
And here's the thing, and I'll leave this out here because this could be a whole discussion.
Yeah,
Like the Greg Hardy thing is just, I get why he's there. I get it. It's a name, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. I get it. My main problem, other than the obvious, is like this guy should not be. This should not be in a co-main event. To me, co-main event says you're either a champion or you're somebody we think really highly of, and you're gonna be somebody. But like you've kind of shown that you deserve to be here. And he's getting co-mains like straight out the gate, and it's not like he's had impressive performances that are like, all right, he's must see TV, or yeah, like if he was buried on the prelims and worked his way up, all right then, whatever. Co-main events out the gate, like come on, bro.
They're handing everything to him.
Like Greg Hardy, these next two fights that we're about to cut, next three actually. We're more worthy of a co-main. Like, we got Greg Hardy in a co-main over Mike Perry, Cowboy Oliveira, Glover Teixeira, Ian Cutelaba, John Lineker, and Corey Sandhagen. I don't know what else to say. I'll leave that at that. But he won via TKO first round. Is what it is. Next fight, moving down the ladder, Mike Perry versus Alex Oliveira. You see these two names match up. You have an idea of how this fight goes, and I'm pretty sure whatever you imagined is pretty much what happened. I'll say the only thing in this fight that caught me by surprise was that nobody got finished. I actually was expecting that this would not go all three, that eventually at some point one of these guys just wouldn't even just be able to stand anymore. Like
I really thought, like my thought was into this fight, like Alex Oliveira was probably gonna get knocked out, and I'm kind of surprised he made it all 3 rounds too. Yeah, it was probably the fact that he hurt his foot, and he just wasn't able to be as wild and reckless as he wanted to be. Like,
didn't have to like pop it back in the corner.
Yeah, something like that. He was like, they asked him if it was broken, and he said, "Yeah, it's broken."
Yeah.
Before we get to like talking about the fight, can we talk about my favorite Alex Oliveira fight? Like facts. Like the man was homeless before he got to the UFC, and then he took the UFC money and bought his mom a house. The grenade incident from Christmas, where he was at like a gas station and like his family member got into a fight with some local thugs. And I say they were thugs because they had grenades, machetes, and like actual like weapons on them when this confrontation happened. And then they threw a grenade at him, and he spent Christmas Day in the hospital getting shrapnel removed from him. He was an actual real life like rodeo bullfighter, dude. And also, he has like 7 baby mothers.
I was waiting for you to get.
They all live in the same town, and 3 of them live on the same street.
Yeah, he is a fascinating.
This man is a real life cowboy, and no matter what becomes of his UFC career, we need like a movie or something.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that you have to be a fan. Like
remember
his
when
story
people's
is
memoirs were getting turned into movies and shit, like left and right, like what was it, the Million Little Lies or whatever it's called, the Oprah book that turned out to be fake.
Yeah, we need the cowboy.
Yeah, we need the cowboy version of that, but it's all real.
Right.
It's all crazy as shit.
Like I said, man, listen, now that the UFC is on ESPN, we need to get these 30 for 30s rolling, man.
Dude, like if that's the stuff we know, imagine all the shit we don't know. Like, what was this man's childhood like? He grew up to be like this. How did he become a...
Right. Yeah, he's a character, like a real life character, and but it makes all the sense. It transfers into the way he fights. Like, if for some reason you hear all this crazy stuff about his backstory, and then I watch him fight, I'm like, I can see it. It all makes sense. It's it adds up. But yeah, this fight was as fun as you thought it would be. All action, hands being thrown, people getting knocked down. Mike Perry out of nowhere picked up Oliveira and just like threw him in the air. I don't even know how that happened, but it did. Yeah, these dudes were just kind of going at. I will say though, I'll give Perry some credit. You know, as action packed as this fight was, and as many hands and feet and everything that was being thrown, I do feel like in like the last couple of fights, like Perry, I think, I guess, well, just compared to his previous performances, like he's been fighting smarter. Like he's still wild, but he's not. I felt like in the first like 2-3 times we saw him, he was literally just move forward, punch, 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 punch. All right, I won.
Yeah.
Or I lost, but whatever. I feel like now, because I noticed in like the second and third, he was countering Oliveira a good number of times. Like he was being a lot more patient. He was still violent, but it was a little more like reeled in and controlled.
Yeah. They're like small adjustments. Like he's not just flinging himself at his opponent anymore. That the second round where he got on top of Oliveira and just proceeded to like land like short elbows and left hands along the cage. That's something I think like he would have gone hard for the finish back in the past. Like he still eats too much damage for me to be like, okay, he's making all the improvements he needs to be making right now. But like they're doing something with him, which is better than just having him burn out way too quickly. Yeah. I don't know. I hope Cowboy's foot's all right because he went out there and fought like 2 rounds on it with it being broken.
Yeah, and it's crazy that he, like I said, broken foot, and he's still out here just just gunslinging, like just going for it. But yeah, I think that pace to me, well, it probably was a lot of the foot, but I just felt like in the later half he just wasn't. It looked like he was getting a little tired. He was, like I said, probably out there just surviving on one foot, trying to keep the adrenaline flowing and trying not to forget that, oh, my foot is like broken. I need to try not to think about it. But no, this fight was everything you thought it would be. Just lots of violent fun. Just really surprised. And I had the same feeling about Sandhagen and Lineker, which we'll get to in a little bit. But just surprised that the amount of violence you knew was going to come for this fight, it did not end in the finish.
Right.
But you got everything else. There were knockdowns, hands, feet. Like I said, that Perry picking him up and throwing him. I didn't even know how that happened, but he just threw him.
Like, for all their faults, both of these dudes are just ridiculous athletes at 170.
Yeah.
Like, crazy mix of, like, quick twitch, like, muscle memory and just pure power.
You hope at the end of their careers that, like, they still have, like, functioning brain cells. Because
there's no way in hell Cowboy will.
Because they take as much damage as they can dish out. They take it, and it's like, ugh. I hope you'll be okay when you're about 43. But nah, man, the awesome fight. Lived up to the hype. Go back and watch that if you didn't. So congrats to Mike Perry. He won a unanimous decision over Cowboy Oliveira. Moving down back to 205. Glover Teixeira, Ian Cutelaba. Boy, did this fight put a smile on my face.
So, right before the fight, I posted on Tumblr, I think Ian Cutelaba could and should win this fight, but I also see him just throwing it away on some dumb shit. And he threw it away on some dumb shit. Because he's a dick, and he's not very smart.
A young man was humbled.
And you
you
can't humble Ian Cutelaba, man. Like, this is just who he is.
He thought he was going to come on Glover's lawn with all that noise. And he did for a little bit. But Glover kicked him off the lawn. He got him out of here. Cutelaba started off good, bouncing around, landing a lot of good shots. Hit Glover with some good power shots.
Hit him with a spinning back elbow, or power back fist.
Knocked him down. Had some ground and pound. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Well, I feel like the turning point of this fight was when Glover got knocked down, and instead of like throwing an uppercut or bridging, what does Ian Cutelaba do, Sensei? What does he do?
Prod rules. Prod rules. That's still a thing, right? And he did it like twice in the fight.
Yeah.
Like he tried to knee Glover's head off while Glover was clearly grounded. Then he tried to kick him, I think, the other time. Yeah, he went for a blatant head kick.
Like a blatant crescent head kick while Glover was down on his knee, and the referee. Can we talk about the referee who literally was just there? He looked like some dude they picked out of the crowd, and he was just like a casual observer to all this nonsense.
And then there was a groin strike at one point. That ref did not.
I mean,
I'm glad Glover won because he had to overcome more than just the fight. Like he was, it was bad. It was bad.
But props to Glover. Like once, he got tagged. Like after who was it? Who the hell did he fight that was just tagging the shit out of him? It was after the Gus fight, I think.
Oh, that was the first fight I thought of.
But I kind of poked fun at the fact that like Teixeira's chin is just like not great anymore. Like he can't take a punch, and it's only kind of right. Like he gets tagged hard once per fight that like wobbles him. But what he lacks in just like straight up being able to take, like durability wise, he makes up for in just being tough as shit. Because he battled back through that, and like immediately after that knockdown to illegal knee fiasco, you had Cutelaba in like a standing guillotine situation,
and he started landing his own.
Yeah,
and I actually felt weirdly, I felt okay thinking that Glover was going to win after that flurry because I was like, oh, he survived it. And I just looked at Kudalaba and I was like, oh, he might have, he might.
Dude, as soon as the 1 or 2 minute mark hit in like the first round, he was tired.
Yeah, he was tired. that all that bouncing and movement that was for the first half of the fight. Oh yeah, he didn't have any of that anymore. Like he was still, you still had to be wary of the shots because he was still throwing power shots, but you could just tell by the body language like he looked like he was fading. And Glover, albeit he took a lot of damage, he was still moving. He was still in it. And I was like, Glover just needs to catch him one good time. He could still just come back and get him out of there. And the the finishing sequence was kind of funny because when Kudalaba fell, he did not like really try to get. I felt like there was like a second gap where he just kind of sat there. Like he got put on the ground and he just didn't move, and Glover just kind of laid on him.
Dude, he's just like he goes for the standing knee in the clinch, and then Glover just pushes him down.
Right, but he just stays there.
Yeah,
like he didn't immediately try to like shoot back up or roll, or he just literally just. All right, I guess this is what happened. Like, I'm just gonna sit here.
I think he was just shocked that he got pushed over.
Hey man, that old man strength.
Yeah. And then Glover, literally, after he pushes over, just glides into mount.
Yeah, and once he got on the ground, when you saw the way Glover was moving, it was like, oh no, this is over. Like Glover's got this. He's got this.
Yeah.
And Glover's a crafty dude on the ground, man. Like he has a pretty good overall skill set. Even at his age, he's still a lot of experience. Got Kudalaba on the ground and choked him out. Kicked the old kid up, kicked the youngin' off the lawn. So Kudalaba, stop talking trash, respect your elders.
Or at least fight smarter. God damn.
It's always good when Glover lives to fight another day.
True.
It's just a good feel good moment. So congrats to Glover. Had to overcome some adversity, but he comes back to kick the young guy off the lawn. So
this 2 in a row. Do you give him John Jones?
Hey man, Glover's what, 40, almost 40.
He is 41, I want to say.
Yeah, the man ain't getting no young. Give him his type.
He's 39.
Yeah, after Thiago Santos, Glover Jones.
Yeah.
Just because. Moving on to another fight that I was really looking forward to. To me, this should have been the co-main event. Going down to bantamweight, Corey Sandhagen versus John Lineker. For people who are not familiar with Sandhagen, I watched him in LFA, and I was like, ooh, this guy is fun. Just action, craziness. And ever since he's been in the UFC, he's been doing the same things he did in LFA. Just he's a lot more, though. I'll say he's a lot more talented than I thought. Like he's always been like fun to watch, just strictly on like an entertainment aspect. But dude is really talented. For one, just surviving a Lineker fight is a victory in and of itself, like not getting finished. But I like this, like a lot of footwork he uses, a lot of movement. Like kind of what we mentioned with Hermansson, like he's not like a one-shot, knock you out kind of guy, but he can give you a lot of good combinations, a couple touch and goes, 1-2 here and there, 1-2-3 here and there. Still had to be wary of Lineker because, boy, Lineker get them hooks going. And, boy, if your defense ain't on point or, it's a game of inches. That you catch you one clean time, it might be over.
Yeah.
But I thought Sandhagen did a good job of using footwork, having good enough defense to not get caught too many times. I mean, he did eat some shots. And Lineker body shots are just, yeah. Like he got hit a good number of times, and them body shots that Lineker lands, like it's just hard to fathom that a human can hit so hard. Like, it's unreal. And props to Sandhagen, because for somebody who, if I'm fighting a guy like Lineker and I throw a punch and he fires back and he hits like 1,000 times harder than I do, I'm probably not too interested in trying to just trade with you. and Sandhagen was able to like trade and not get his head taken off. Just using a lot of footwork. You know, like I said, he did eat some shots. So apparently he's got a good chin. But yeah, this fight was just really fun. It was really tense because I kept thinking the whole fight, like, all right, Sandhagen still might get caught. And he managed to not get caught.
They get beat up on in that third round, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the blood. The nose. Was that where the blood came from? I don't even know.
Yeah, where he's like getting his freaking like he's just leaking out the nose as Lineker has a guillotine on him with the fight like seconds away from being over. Yeah, that was that.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the Rick Story incident, where like he's getting choked and then blood just starts streaming out of nowhere.
Yeah, like the story for this was like Sandhagen's really well, this was a very disciplined performance. Like Sandhagen's a dude that kind of affiliate with like Chaos, like a bit like O'Malley, like where what was it, the Uriel Katara fight, where he goes out there. Did he get dropped? Is that what happened? Damn, yeah, he gets like dropped and then has to recover and get like the finish.
Oh yeah, that was that fight. Yep.
Yeah, so like I always like I always especially early in their careers, I always associate these like movement first guys with like chaos, especially when they throw like they'll throw 5 punches at once and then they'll like hit a couple like shifts in there. But this was just a really disciplined performance. Like he knew where Lineker could hurt him, and he did his best to stay out of the situations, and that didn't always work. Lineker took a split decision for a reason. He landed a good amount, and even prior to that big third round Lineker had, like if you go back, you can see Sandhagen's body is just red from all the body shots he had eaten. But he did a really good job of keeping Lineker at range with the jab and the front kicks, especially to the lead leg. I think on commentary they mentioned that this was Lineker's first training camp at ATT or something like that, or at least in America. And I'm kind of curious. We didn't see a lot of pressure from him, and that could be because of the size disadvantage. It could be because he was worried that Sandhagen might take him down. But we didn't see like the Lineker who marched down John Dodson like around the cage.
Right.
Like it was much more like I'm going to wait for him to throw, and then I'm going to counter back off of that with my hooks to the body, and then went upstairs. But
yeah, could have been probably a range thing.
Yeah,
I would.
Like I'm kind of curious if that's something ATT worked on, or like if like we're saying here, like it's just like okay, Sandhagen really just had him uncomfortable in there. But this is a huge win for Sandhagen. Like Lineker, only fighters he's lost to are Luis Galdino in his first ever UFC fight, Ali Bags, and freaking TJ Dillashaw, who even after breaking his freaking jaw, still had to survive 30 seconds from hell at the end of that fight. Because Lineker finally got him up along the cage and started wailing on him. So like this is really impressive. Like, go Sandhagen. I hope.
I'm saying that's a big fight considering he's only had how many UFC fights?
I want to say this is his third or fourth.
Yeah, like that's a big third fight. Like that's a crazy phone call.
Yeah. Yeah, just terrific performance, terrific use of the jab, and just movement in general. Yeah,
and I want to say he's older, right? I think
Sandhagen.
Yeah, because I remember them saying like
he's only a year younger than John Lineker, if I'm remembering right. He's 27.
Or did he start like MMA late? I don't know. I thought I remembered somebody saying something like he felt like he wasn't going to be here like too long. Something. I don't know. Maybe
he might just retire quickly. Like, he might be one of those dudes like Jimmy Rivera who's like, I'm gonna win the title and then I'm gonna bounce because I want to do this my whole life.
Could be. Either way, he's making the best of his time.
Yeah, he is 27. John Lineker is only 29. Gary. Yeah. But no, he made the best of this. Absolutely. Okay, he's 4-0 in the UFC now. You beat your first top 10 opponent. I think everybody ahead of him is booked already, so it's worth noting. Like wasn't like a blowout by any stretch. Like Lineker won a card on one of the judges' scorecards. This was a split decision.
I think it's just because he landed with just like I said, he landed a lot and just in terms of just power, like his hits just
Everything
when he
registered.
lands it just
It
right.
sounds like I don't remember who said it. Someone said when he lands a body shot, it sounds like someone taking a baseball bat to a prime piece of like steak or something.
Right. Yeah,
It's
his shots
nasty.
have that kind of effect. It's just you cringe every time he lands something. But no, yeah, this was a really really awesome fight, and like I said, really huge one for Sandhagen. He's gonna find himself in a lot of fun fights. Because bantamweight, another one of those divisions, especially after beating a guy like Lineker, like you're pretty much only fighting big names at this point.
Right.
So we'll see how Lineker does, but
Thomas Almeida still ranked.
well, out of all of like the guys that I rooted for, like haven't done anything, and then all of these other bantamweights just kind of came, and it just like I was so hyped for Tom Dukenwa. I don't know where he's been lately. Almeida had a run, and then we saw how that went. Meanwhile, like Sandhagen now he's in that boat. Petr Yan came over, and he's just beating everybody.
Like what? The most excited I've been for like anybody in like a long time. So.
Hey guys, man, Dukenwa, where you at, man? Get back in there. I was so hyped for him. I was so hyped for him to come over.
It's weird. I was too, man. Like he still has so much talent. It's just for a reason. It's just not translating to the UFC bantamweight.
The gym, man. I think it's the gym.
Like he trains at Jackson now.
Nah, he's got to go, man. I think they're taming him. You gotta let that man fly.
Fair enough.
I think that I get it. Like you want him to fight smarter, but I don't know, man. You gotta let that man fly. You gotta let him go. Because when he's at 100%, man, that dude is amazing to watch. But I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. But either way, Corey Sandhagen won split decision over John Lineker, and what was a really awesome fight. So go back and watch that if you did not get the chance. The last fight on the main card, Roosevelt Roberts versus Thomas Gifford.
Roosevelt Roberts has 2 last names. That's his name. And it's very distracting.
This was a cool fight. I honestly don't remember this in much of detail. All I remember is like, boy, Gifford's tough because he got pieced up a couple of moments, a lot of moments actually. I feel like, and he just kind of kept moving forward.
Yeah, he walked onto a lot.
Yeah, he ate a couple, more than one. He ate various 3-pieces and kept just kind of like, yeah, whatever. kept pushing forward, but remember Roosevelt being able to take him down a bunch of times, and as tough as Gifford was, like he couldn't really. There weren't really too many moments where he was like actually in control. More so, just like he was tough. He would land some good shots, but he didn't have anything super like definitive. I don't know. I don't really have a ton to say about this fight other than Gifford's crazy tough and good on Roosevelt.
Yeah. Robert's still really green. Like this was the appropriate fight for him. Just because like so much of his game is based on his wrestling, and he was able to get Giffords down. And like Gifford should be a dude who should test his ground game. Cause like his grappling's not very good. Like he was able to do some stuff here because Gifford is. I don't want to say he's not. Gifford's more scrap than he is technique. On the ground, on the feet, but he's the type of opponent who gives like a prospect his loss after like, oh, I'm getting my ass beat for like 4 minutes and then I hit a heel hook and then you have a loss on your record all of a sudden. You know what I mean? And Roberts was able to avoid that, so that's a good sign. Yeah, everything's gonna come along slow with him. I think he's gonna be like a long term. Like I don't think he's not gonna be like he's not gonna be like Corey Sandhagen, who's beating like a top 10 dude in his 12th fight in MMA. Like Roberts is like probably like 3 or 4 years away from being that dude.
Yeah. You want to say bring him along slowly, but he's at lightweight.
I mean, they found Gifford for him. Like, give him some other dude who was like on like I was gonna say in a way contender series reject, but
somebody from the contender series or just some other like regional prospect maybe, and see what he can do. But good performance on him. I like the 3 pieces, so keep that up. So that was the main card, which was pretty fun. Lots of good violence. Like I said, I was surprised that a lot of these fights didn't end in finishes, as violent as they were. But but really solid main card, pretty much from top to bottom. You got a lot of good performances, a lot of good moments, and a main event that just I don't think any of us really expected. But it was something to watch. It was just a really, really great performance from Hermansson. So that was the main card. Kind of want to breeze through these prelims due to time.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But so we'll run through these real quick. I mean, to be honest, some of these don't really have like a ton to really talk about. But moving on to the ESPN prelims, we had Takashi Sato versus Ben Saunders. Story of this fight: Ben looked good in the first round. Not a lot of nice knees in the clinch, using his range because he's like just super long and lanky. Landed some good shots. Then in the second round, got caught with a straight.
Sato decided to actually throw a punch.
Right. he threw a straight, put Saunders out. That was it.
Yeah.
That was that's how the cookie crumbles.
It was a nice because like Sato threw the left hand after like clearing Saunders' guard with his right hand, and that was really neat. But like, yeah, no, it's just sad. I don't need to see Saunders fight anymore.
Yeah, at this point, he's one of those guys who's really been in the sport for a while. Yeah, it's getting to the point where like when he gets knocked out now, it's just kind of like, you get like you feel bad.
Why are you putting me through this, Ben?
Right, and then like he was the feature like on the prelim. But
this shows you how much they like him.
Yeah, probably a nice guy, but yeah, I don't want to see him get hurt anymore. But props to Sato, good TKO stoppage. Moving down to heavyweight, Augusto Sakai versus Andrei Arlovski. I thought Arlovski won this fight.
Same.
I didn't think this was actually really a debate. I didn't think this was even close enough to be considered a split decision. It was pretty much a heavyweight kickboxing match in which I thought Arlovski landed more, had better movement, and was just because it felt like a lot of this fight, Augusto Sakai was moving forward, but he wasn't really like doing anything. I don't know. Judges saw something else. Augusto Sakai wins via split decision. Heavyweight MMA. I don't know what to tell you. But,
I don't even have a lot to say about this one. I could talk about anything.
Next fight, Carlos Esparza, Viana Jandiroba, or I forgot how Anik was saying it. I don't know if I'm saying it wrong or he's saying it right. I don't know. But anywho, I was looking forward to this fight to see how Viana would do on her debut, coming over from Invicta. She was the strawweight champ over there. As Joey would say, how I say, this fight was a lot of wrestling. That was pretty much it. Like, it's not.
It was a really good. I enjoyed it.
No, it was a good. Yeah, it was a good fight. Like, I'm not gonna say it was it was trash or anything. But yeah, it was a lot of wrestling. Esparza's always interesting because I just feel like she's like really small. Like I don't know, maybe it's just me. She looks like small. I'm gonna say for the weight class, but
yeah, no, she is tiny.
Yeah, she's a little person, but she makes it work. And apparently, I think she mentioned that she's been doing like in between fights, she does like a lot of strength and conditioning because she knows like she gives up a lot of size, so she's trying to get her strength up to kind of negate that or offset it a little bit. I mean, and it seemed to work. Like, she was able to get Jandiroba down. They had a lot of just, nice grappling exchanges. If you like grappling, this will be a fight for you. If not, maybe not so much. Carla's on a win streak, right?
I want to say this is her second win. Oh, no, she just lost to Tatiana Suarez.
Ooh, yeah, that did happen. But good win on Esparza. So she won via unanimous decision. The last fight that was on the ESPN prelims, Gilbert Burns versus Mike Davis.
I actually don't have anything to say about this one because I didn't see it.
You missed a good one. This was good. I saw people talking about Mike Davis before this fight. I'm not sure what other organization he fought in. I can't remember. But I had a couple people on my timeline who knew who he was. So I was interested just off of that fact. That, and I like Gilbert Burns. I feel like he's been really like coming into his own as of late. I feel like his game is becoming a lot more well-rounded. But no, this was a fun match. Two dudes who just they were going back and forth. I thought Gilbert played it smart. He didn't allow himself to get thrown into a brawl, even though his striking has been improving. And I felt like that could have been a setup. Like, a lot of times, guys get better at striking and then they just want to throw hands.
Yeah.
I felt like he almost like got caught in that, but he stopped himself. He went back to what he was good at. Got Davis down, rear naked choke in the second round, got him out of there. But no, it was a fun fight. And good showing for Davis. That's Gilbert Burns isn't even, I don't even think he's a ranked lightweight, but that's a tough debut to have as like your first fight. And I thought he did decent. Clearly though, when they got to the ground, you saw clearly who was better. But I wouldn't mind seeing Davis fight again. Maybe against somebody who, a little less of a name, somebody like more around his like experience level. But good win for Burns. That was an entertaining fight at lightweight. And then moving on to the ESPN2 prelims. So it's like Fight Pass prelims. It's not a thing anymore.
Did we get Fight Pass prelims this year for something?
I think we did at one point. It's weird. Like, every time they were on ESPN2, I'm always puzzled. Like, why is it on ESPN2? But had Jim Miller versus Jason Gonzalez. Did you see this fight?
No. There's the other one I didn't get to see.
So you did you see how Jim Miller looked?
No. Ooh.
Somebody on Twitter call him Jim Bisbing.
Ooh.
So his hair is growing out a little bit. And yeah, he's got like the commentator hair. It's weird. His look is a little different now. But
that's the job you want, right?
That is true.
Jim Miller's man, keep doing this shit forever. Oh wait, here he is. Oh yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. You throw a suit on him and he fits the part. But like, fighting wise, it just looks really weird to like fight with that look. Like, it looks strange. But not like as old as Jim Miller is, as long as he's been fighting for, he still like goes out there and beats up the young guys.
That's what happens when you're sounds, man. When you know your game.
Like,
I mean,
he knows.
We say that he's like 2-5 in his 7.
I tried to guess him, but
I mean,
but
the dudes he lost to were like Pettis, Poirier, Trinaldo, Hooker, and the Bronx. Like, that's not fair. So
yeah, but if you throw him against a guy who's not a name like those people you just listed, he probably beats him 9 times out of 10. Like, he knows what he's good at. His striking has improved, so like, you kind of have to respect it now. It's not like world class or anything, but you have to at least you got to respect what he can do. And then you already know, he gets you on the ground, you're in worlds of trouble. And he got Jason out of there with a rear naked choke, and goes on to get the win. So shout out to Jim Miller, still out here. Another old guy kicking the youngins off the lawn every so often. And moving on to women's strawweight, Angela Hill stepping in on short notice to fight Jodie Escobil. Poor Jodie just tried to get in range a lot of this fight because she's just like really short, compact. and Hill was just kind of able to do really good at range, pick her apart, pick her shots. She really started getting off in that third round. Just really good job at mixing it up, just knees and just a lot of good combinations from Hill. Good bounce back for her, considering how her last fight went. You saw this one, right?
Yeah. Jody Escobar, man. Like, I get they need bodies, but like I feel like there are other people out there who aren't like 4'11", you know? Like, God bless her, because I actually do enjoy watching her fight. Like when she's fighting somebody like her size. And Angela, like, here's the thing: Angela Hill is not a big strawweight. She is on the smaller side, and Escobar just did not have the reach to catch up with her. Like she was slower than her, and shorter range than her. So like Hill would just tag Escobar and then be out of range as Escobar tried to throw back, and it was just like, okay, we're really doing this.
Yep, but, 3 rounds.
Yeah, like, hey, props to Jody, who just been out here trying to make the most of her UFC career, but like, it was this fight they had her against what was the long girl's name? Volkevich, and then they had her against Jessica Aguilar. It's just like, okay,
and her,
like, why did they bring this woman in just to gas up people who aren't going to make title runs?
and I was gonna say her original opponent was Jessica Penne, who's also like long and lanky.
Yeah, like, give her a chance. Good God, like,
Get Daniel Taylor back.
go, Jamie Moyle or Sharon Jacobson, let her fight her. Like, it just feels, it's weird. I think that's the best way to put it. It's like weird. Like, ask about like, you should be welcoming in like newcomers, not fighting women who are borderline top 15 fighters. In a division one up from where she actually fights.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, she's definitely one of the fighters who would benefit from her atom weight.
She wasn't the atomweight division when she was in.
Yeah.
She did fight at strawweight a couple times. That's just mainly because she didn't want to do the weight cut anymore. She is a true blue. Wait, she doesn't win over the atomweight champion. Or did you Frey lose the belt yet? No, okay.
Nah.
Yeah, so yeah, she hasn't won over the current atomweight champion, Invicta. Like, you know,
Hard knock life.
performance from Angela Hill, who did what she had to do to get the win. It's just bizarre matchmaking from what I'm expecting to see.
But then it was short notice.
Like, yeah, like her original opponent was supposed to be Jessica Penne, and it's just like, why?
Yeah, but I mean, if we're being honest, she hasn't been doing too great as of late, though.
Yeah, it's somebody who probably should stop fighting. If we're being real.
Well, good off. I'm gonna get sad now. The last fight on the card, Diego Lima and Court McGee. Pretty decent scrap between them. Lima looks a little better than from when I first seen him. I still don't really know how far he can actually really go. Just kind of feel like he's gonna be just one of those middling welterweights, pretty much. He'll pop up on cards. He'll be on prelims. I don't really know how much further he'll get than that.
I mean, it's still a paycheck, man.
Yeah. Still a paycheck.
More than he was getting knocked out in like Titan, I guess.
Right. So, striking as it looked.
Like, if you want to, like, friggin', with like 5 seconds left in this fight, I started typing up like my post on like, oh, this is what happened or whatever, and I was like, oh, Court McGee's a guy who has 3 knockouts and like 19 wins, Like if there was anybody Diego Lima was going to be able to beat in a decision without getting knocked out, it would probably be him. And then with like 5 seconds left, he gets knocked down.
Court floored him.
Yeah. So like, if you like, I don't like. I'm like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna go far in the UFC, but hey, at least he's out here getting wins, right?
Yeah, that's all that
I
matters.
mean,
Hey
two in
man,
a
just
row after dropping your first like 4 or 5 UFC fights. Can't
yeah,
complain
I ain't,
about how you get it.
and he's looking better. Like I said, in comparison to older performances, he's looking a little better. So hey man, live the fight another day. I'm all for it. So congrats to Diego Lima. He got a split decision over Court McGee. That last 5 seconds was funny though. I was like, boy, that could have been a disaster if that fight lasted like another 15, 20 seconds. But nah, overall, man, this was actually a really good weekend of fights. I mean, there were cards. I think other promotions that had cards that we didn't even mention, but like UFC, Bellator, LFA, Titan. I want to say Cage Warriors had a card. One of those Russian promotions, I think, had. There were a lot of good fights going on. There was boxing this weekend, and got to even talk about that. But no, this was a really good weekend of fights. So if you miss anything, of course for the UFC, you can go back and watch it on ESPN Plus. For the Bellator card, you can just go on the app or on the website and go back and watch that. You can watch Titan FC on Fight Pass, LFA if you got Access TV. Probably watch that like on demand or replay or something like that. But either way, there were a lot of good fights that happened this weekend. So props to Bellator and the UFC. Both of these cards were pretty good, pretty solid top to bottom. Lots of good performances, good knockouts. No complaints from me. Fun weekend of fights. Had Chinese food, made everything better. So I had a good time just spending my weekend just while watching Fisticuffs. Um, and next week we'll have Ally Quinta and Donald Cerrone at UFC. What is this? Ottawa.
Yes.
Uh, also have Derek Brunson and Elias Theodorou, but
No one cares about that.
Cub Swanson on there though. It's a good thing.
Johnson Shane Burgos.
Burgos. Yeah.
Murad Bashvili versus Brad Katana, good fight. Even though Brad Katana has like the Hitler Youth haircut. New heavyweight fighting out of the Ukraine who beat like Tony Lopez and Travis Fulton and Sergey Spizvak. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Spock. That's how I said it last week.
Tough champion Macy Chiasson fighting Sarah Moraes. Faraz Sahabi's brother's back. Eamon, he's fighting Vince Morales. That should be a fun fight. And Mitch Gagnon is back. Canada's first tank. He's gonna be fighting another Canadian named Cole Smith. Yeah, so like it's gonna be fun. It might not be anything of consequence except outside like the main event and that Swanson Burgos fight, but the rest of the card
Yeah, I was
should be
gonna
fun.
say, kind of like that card. I can't remember if that was last week or the week before. Like you'll get a lot of fun fights, but there won't be like a ton of substance or like meaningful fights. But it'll be entertaining while you're watching it.
Canada's still looking for a guy right now, and it seems is Elias Theodorou, and that's kind of sad. I mean,
On that,
because if y'all think this is boring, fight in the air.
On that note, we're gonna go ahead.
Before we hop off completely, I'm gonna just mention the Bellator card again next week because I feel like since we're here week to week, we should probably mention what's happening in the week that's coming up to have people come back.
That is true.
Bellator card, champion Brett Primus will be fighting Tim Wild. Derek Campos is fighting Pedro Carvalho. Fabian Edwards, Falco Neto Lopez, and kickboxer Raymond Daniels will be fighting Wilker Barros. So Saul Rogers, if you guys remember him, I believe the dude got kicked off stuff because he couldn't get a visa or something. He's back. fighting on the prelims over there. And I think there's a one card next week. For Honor, featuring Sam versus Haggerty for the Flyweight Muay Thai World Championship.
They've definitely had a card named For Honor before.
I think all the like small shows they do are called For Honor. It's like their version of like the Contender Series, but it's an actual part of one. Maybe they just don't bother to like number them because who cares?
There you go. I was gonna say,
Who cares?
right? The only ones who actually pay attention to that.
Yeah. And was there? Oh yeah. Fuck. What the fuck? We're gonna mention the biggest thing from next week, which is of course Canelo. Is Canelo fight next week, or am I going crazy? Yeah, it's next week.
Canelo
Jacobs is next week, next Friday or Saturday. My bad. May 4th. DAZN. $20 for the month, $100 for the year. Decide if that's worth your time and money. I think that's it.
Yep. So there'll be plenty of fights to talk about. May's gonna be April going into May is gonna be a pretty busy fight month, so you guys will be hearing a lot from us. But that's pretty much it for today's episode. So before we get out, we will close out with parting shots and shout outs. I'll just give 2 quick shout outs. Shout outs to the NBA playoffs. My Spurs lost, but it you know, what can you do? But no, the playoffs have been like fun this year. And the second round, as I'm recording, Boston and Milwaukee are playing right now.
Oh, they are?
And then Golden State and Houston play at 3:30. So the second round of the playoffs, there's some good matchups. But like literally the 2 I just named are probably the 2 I was looking forward to the most. So playoff basketball is about to be really fun. So you should definitely watch. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. The best time for the sport, pretty much. And just shout outs to Marvel, man. Endgame was just amazing. I can't say more without spoiling it. It was just amazing. I had a really great time watching that movie. And for me, I'm a person who my attention span is terrible. To get me to pay attention to a movie for 3 hours, and I willingly did it twice, you have to be doing something really good. So shout outs to Marvel. Endgame was just awesome. It was great. Go see it if you haven't gotten the chance to. Hopefully your theater isn't still sold out, because I know that's an issue.
Yeah.
But yeah. So shout outs to Marvel. Shout outs to Endgame, and shout outs to the NBA playoffs.
Shouts to shit, I literally just thought of the one. Oh, Juan Estrada. We didn't get to talk about this, but Juan Francisco Estrada and Sorong Visai. They had the rematch on Friday, I want to say, April 26th, and so Estrada actually ended up taking the decision over Sorong Visai. After unanimous decision. I didn't actually get the chance to see the fight. I had to cancel the zone for the last couple months because money. But I'm assuming it was a good fight because Estrada, and it's impossible for Estrada to put on a bad fight. The man is just pure action, and Sorong Visai, big power puncher, always fun. So check that out. And shouts to shouts to what's his face, Regis. People's names before I say them. Ace, who advances in the World Boxing Super Series Junior Welterweight Tournament, the 140 tournament, fought Kirill Relic on Saturday. Ended up taking a TKO win in the 6th round. Same card, no need Stephen Young. So props to that for that. There on that second career win, so to speak. Just knocking people the fuck out titles again. So props.
And that's all, folks. So, as always, thank you guys for listening. Be sure to give us a look on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Follow us on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page as well as the Instagram page. And you can follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei. And that is all we got for you guys today. And as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we'll catch you guys later.